Welcome to the fantasy audiobook. What bad intentions could Batman have? Chapter 81. My name is Bane, I am 26 years old, and I am a hero of justice. My men, the Birdmen, the Cavemen, and the Zombies, were captured by the evil big devil Batman. He used them as hostages to force me to go into his lair. He forced me to arrive at Arkham Asylum in 4 days to have a decisive battle with him. I know very well that in 4 days, Batman must have completely controlled all the claws he snatched from the Court of Owls, and those lunatics in Arkham Asylum will not be as dull as when he was controlled by the Mad Hatter's chip before. Batman will convince all the lunatics to help him. In other words, I will fall into an extremely unfavorable situation, relying only on the prisoners in Blackgate Prison and dozens of tanks, as well as myself and the Joker, to fight against the entire Gotham. I can't win. Even if I can defeat all the minions of the Batman, it will be difficult for me to defeat the devil when I am exhausted. But fortunately, I still have a hidden card. A mysterious man, an unknown mysterious man, not only supported me with a lot of money and intelligence, and instructed me to steal the nuclear bomb, but even just now, he gave me a new nuclear bomb after I lost the nuclear bomb. According to him, this was bought from Penguin a few years ago. What a madman who prepared for a rainy day. But it doesn't matter. What matters is that I have new chips and I can go to the gambling table again. And this time, I will no longer underestimate my opponent. I suspect that Batman is very likely to know that I have a new nuclear bomb. Since the nuclear bomb has become an open card, I might as well turn it to the open. The Joker, my ally who may betray me at any time. I want to push him to the front and distract Batman's attention. And I can be in the dark. This time, I will never lose. P.S. The Joker made a suggestion to me. Since Batman can kidnap my people, I can also kidnap Batman's people. This is a constructive suggestion. The sun sets. Lucius, the technical director of Wayne Group, was having dinner in his office. When he swallowed the second bite of steak, he saw Batman quietly appearing behind him in the reflection of the cup. Before Chen Dao could even wipe his mouth, he got straight to the point. Lucius, I ask you to create a device that can interfere with the explosion of a nuclear bomb. He explained. No matter what kind of nuclear bomb it is, it must be stopped from exploding. Lucius looked at him speechlessly. Who do you think I am? A blue cat robot that can turn into props by making a wish. Liquid fuel introduction, launch control system, fuse. At which specific step do you want to stop it? I don't care, we have to stop it at any step. Chen Dao didn't care about that. He ordered arrogantly. You know what we are facing, and you know that we must stop it at any step. I suspect. He said. Forget it. In short, Murphy's Law tells us that things will always develop in the worst direction. We have to prepare for the rainy day. I have to do it at all costs. Quote. Okay, I know. Lucius, the chief scientist of Wayne Technology, raised his hands in surrender. He said. Okay, this is not difficult. It's just some interference. I will be able to make this kind of thing soon. One more thing, you came at the right time. The nano-embedded bomb you asked me to make before is already ready. As long as it is installed in the body, it can blow up a person's limbs in minutes. Lucius took out a large bag of nanobombs from the safe next to him, and Chen Dao reached out to take it. He turned around and sat back in his seat, used a knife and fork to split the potatoes on the plate in half, and then continued. This is actually a bit cruel, to be honest. I hope you use it with caution. Chen Dao nodded silently. This is the last line of defense to control those Arkham people. Amanda Waller's methods are sometimes necessary. Amanda Waller, an American official, the controller of the Suicide Squad, specializes in planting nanobombs in the necks of criminals and then driving them to work. Okay, Lucius continued, but there is one more thing. Please allow me to ask one more question. What is the nuclear bomb? Could it be? Lucius hadn't finished speaking, and when he turned his head, there was no one behind him. He put down the cutlery. Oh, come on. After saying goodbye to Lucius, Chen Dao rushed to Jim Gordon's house without stopping. Knock knock knock. Chen Dao knocked on the door twice, and he was not afraid of disturbing others. Gordon's daughter Barbara Gordon left Gotham to treat her spinal cord after suffering spinal paralysis a few years ago, so he now lives alone. I'm coming. Director Gordon, wearing pink pajamas, opened the door and saw Chen Dao's serious face. "Ah, you're here," he said subconsciously. "I've been entangled in your murder recently." But before he finished, he saw Chen Dao snap his fingers, and then a large lump of mud seeped in from the window next to him. "Oh, my God," Commissioner Gordon said. "Meet me, Gordon, this is Clayface, Chen Dao wanted to say, "the villain I recently conquered," but Clayface's eyes suddenly became huge and crystal clear, flashing with a longing light, and his clothes were also changed into Robin uniforms. My favorite Robin. Quote. That's not the point, the important thing is. Chen Dao clapped his hands again, and then 5 or 6 claws kicked through the window and appeared in the room. "Ha, now you are the villain leader, right?" Gordon said. Ignoring Commissioner Gordon's complaint, "Hey, is this new glass or my house?" Chen Dao continued. "No time for more nonsense, Jim, you are in danger now." "I have always been in danger in this city, I am used to it." Gordon curled his lips and said, "What's wrong?" Chen Dao told him roughly about the appointment in 4 days. "I still don't understand what this has to do with me." Chen Dao replied, "When I watched TV series before, I always complained about those decent people who knew that the villains had no bottom line, but still did not send their colleagues and families to be protected, but let them live stupidly in their own homes until they were taken hostage by the villains." Here is a specific criticism of a TV series called Gotham in Chen Dao's previous life. The death of the Penguin's mother in the play was predictable when she just appeared in the first season. Chen Dao was full of complaints when he watched it back then. Now it's his turn, so naturally he won't make such a low-level mistake. Whether it is Bane or the Joker, the word, bottom line, seems to have nothing to do with them. Chen Dao will not let himself fall into such an unfavorable situation as being threatened by the other party to take hostages. "So I have to protect you, Jim. Before everything is settled, I must make sure that you will not become a hostage." "What a joke, I am the sheriff of Gotham City. How can a sheriff escape from the battlefield?" Jim Gordon rejected Chen Dao without surprise. "Batman, I appreciate your kindness, but I have a duty." "And you killed someone before." Gurgle G. "I'm sorry, Gordon, I'm not discussing this with you. I know this is a little different from my past methods, but it's necessary." Chen Dao said, "In order to prevent you from being kidnapped as a hostage, I can only be forced to kidnap you first. Please forgive me." Gordon turned his head and wanted to run, but as soon as he turned his head, he bumped into Chen Dao who appeared behind him, and then the black sand in Chen Dao's hand condensed into a black stick. "Fall to the ground." Bang! Chen Dao put the unconscious Jim Gordon into a sack, and then ran away with the clay-faced man. There was another kidnapping target to go. Only a fake Chief Gordon was left in his room at the scene. He stepped on the glass shards on the floor and climbed into bed to sleep as if nothing had happened. "Let's find someone to fix the window tomorrow," he muttered to himself, as if he was really Jim Gordon himself. It was late at night. Chen Dao stood by the Gotham River and saw a bright moon stirring the cold wind under the vast night sky, blowing across the river to the east. The tide was rising and the white waves were reflecting the sparkling waves. "What a magnificent and majestic night." Beep beep. Chen Dao answered the phone. "Okay, capitalist man, after so long, Ivy and I have finally planted trees around Gotham. God, working day and night without rest, I am so tired, you really should hang street lights." Harley Quinn's face appeared on the other side of the screen, with big dark circles under her eyes. This was not the effect of her makeup in the past. She complained loudly, "Ivy is almost exhausted." Beside her, Poison Ivy looked like a sick ghost, and the Cheshire Cat supported her. "Thank you for your hard work, Harley, and all of you." Chen Dao's voice was silent, distant, and low like a human. "I appreciate your efforts," he said. "All this is meaningful. You are Gotham's last line of defense. Once the worst happens, Ivy's plants will be the best aid to confirm the trajectory of nuclear weapons, to ensure that our interceptor missiles have more time and opportunities to catch up with the launched nuclear bombs." Harley wanted to say some nonsense about asking for salary, but Chen Dao told her directly, "Your account will be transferred to $100 million in 10 minutes, and Poison Ivy will also have it." "Okay, shut up." "Great." Chen Dao hung up the phone. He silently looked at the river, the center of the river, the corner where the moonlight could not be reflected. It was as dark as ink and gloomy there, as if there were real monsters lurking in it. Beep beep. Chen Dao made another call. Batman to Robin. Have the signal blocking devices been deployed throughout Gotham City? It's done, Batman. As you said, we have deployed more blocking devices in key areas such as the circus, the amusement park, and Wayne Tower. Young Robin's tired voice appeared on the screen. Our chief scientist said that the range of this thing is more than 20 meters. If what he said is true, then no one will be able to launch anything in these places. But it's not certain for other places. Chen Dao thought. The head of the dead shooter broke into the camera. We have been climbing up and down for the past 4 days, being ordered around by you, Batman. To be honest, you have already taken back the nuclear bomb, and there will really be a second one. Hey, smart guy, you obviously don't understand Gotham. Killer Croc next to him interrupted him. The green monster chewed instant meat jerky and said vaguely. The worst will always happen in Gotham. You know, this city is a vicious woman, and she never knows how to write the word mercy. No doubt, Chen Dao replied in a low voice, so we need to be prepared even more. See you later. Chen Dao hung up the phone. He stretched out a hand. Silver white particles wrapped around his hand, and half of his hand rotted into a crimson-black veil. He stretched out his other hand, and driven by the silver white particles, the green dinosaur claws faintly emerged. Chen Dao groaned. He waved his hand to disperse the two forms of deformation. I'm not finished yet, he muttered to himself silently. He stared at the darkness in the middle of the river, staring at him deeply, as if to imprint it into the galaxy in his eyes. I have come this far, and I have been doing well. I have not lost. I am doing as well as the real Batman. In the imaginary space and the world of thought, in the hideous darkness, a bat was howling silently. Chen Dao looked straight at him, looking at the tragic, dripping blood in the bat's mouth. I'm sure I'm not finished yet. Between us, you, me, our story will not end for some time. He grinned lowly. You see, fate tells us that I am afraid I will have to fight you one last time on behalf of Batman. A little light lit up in his heart, sweeping away all cowardice, hesitation and fear. He shouted at himself loudly. The roar of the mountains and the sea, like the sky falling and the earth collapsing, roared in his heart to the world. Listen up. In life, even if there are thousands of roads, there is only one way out. When doing things, either don't do it, or do it thoroughly. There is no such thing as giving up halfway. Everyone, that cowardly and incompetent self. You listen to me. I am Chen Dao. But I am also Batman, he whispered. Gotham, here I come. The silver white particles entangled him again, turning him into a nano body of a broken bat. Chen Dao rolled up his fluttering cape and walked away in the most restful night breeze in Gotham tonight. Without looking back, Bane finally reviewed the booklet about how to fight the Joker given to him by Batman. He stroked the spine of the booklet, and his face showed infinite tenderness and murderous intent. He finally reviewed all the plans in his mind, then turned off the table lamp in the room, and locked the booklet back into the safe with great care and solemnity. But before he could reach the door, he groaned, and the whole person slumped as if he had a leak. He hurriedly pressed the input of venom, and then quickly returned to normal. He pushed open the door, and what came into view was a scene of bustling activity. This was originally the largest prison in Gotham, Blackgate Prison, but now it has completely become a garrison. A large number of guns and weapons were distributed in an orderly manner. This war machine, which was composed of Bane's former subordinates and prisoners from Blackgate Prison, was ready to drink blood at any time. Where is the Joker? He grabbed a soldier who was walking by in a hurry. When the other party saw Bane, he immediately stood at attention with a snap. Several prisoners from Blackgate Prison behind him also followed him to make various non-standard standing and saluting postures. After being pointed out by the soldiers, Bane saw the Joker after turning a few corridors. Hey, do you know that I said at the time, you must want to turn off the flashlight when I climb halfway and let me fall directly to the ground. Ha 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 ha. The atmosphere at the scene was unexpectedly harmonious. Bane narrowed his eyes. A cruel and depraved villain like the Joker actually got along well with his soldiers. Interesting. Of course, he himself was not a good person. He called the Joker out of the room, and the other party was holding a bottle of beer in his hand. He pulled the Joker aside. my ally, I have a very important mission to entrust to you. In order to completely defeat Batman, we need to work together. You must, quote. When the time comes. After sending the Joker away, Bane stood by the window. The moonlight was bright, and he guessed that the moonlight must also shine on Batman. It's time for a decisive battle. He whispered to himself. I'm not done yet, Batman. We are destined to fight and kill each other for the rest of our lives. Bane's army chose to launch the attack at 6 p.m. If you look down from midair, you can see the black and dull ant colonies like the tide leaving Blackgate Prison. They either cling to several cross-sea bridges that spread from Blackgate Island to the main city of Gotham, or take ships and spread towards the city of Gotham like a virus. They have a lot of tanks. A lot of bullets, guns, mortars, and rockets. It's scary, isn't it, Two-Face? At this time, the Penguin was sitting leisurely on the Batplane suspended in the air. Beside him, the ventriloquist carefully rested half of his butt on a small stool next to the coffee table. I am now the five-faced man. If you call me the wrong name again, I will stick your hooked nose into your mouth. Two-faced man, no, it should be the five-faced man Harvey Dent, who was standing in front of the window with a glass of champagne. The Penguin didn't care about Harvey Dent's bad attitude. He said excitedly, ever since Roman and Big Boss Maloney left the power center of the Gotham Gang, we have been scattered. He said, Black Mask, Great White Shark, Ventriloquist, Whisper Gang. Various forces divide and control the power of the Gotham Gang. And you, Harvey. Your experience as a district attorney has allowed you to master a lot of gang secrets, and your experience as a lawyer who is proficient in the law has made you a master of playing with the law. You quickly became a leading figure in the Gotham underworld and an inseparable link in the underworld. And now, Black Mask, that idiot who sells powder, has killed himself, and Great White Shark is finished. The three of us, united, basically represent the underworld of Gotham. Oh, this is really exciting. The Penguin rubbed his hands excitedly. I have been selling arms, armed helicopters, tanks, and even jet fighters in Gotham for so many years. He deliberately made a hypocritical gesture of wiping tears. Oh, so pitiful, I can't wait to see what the expressions on Bane's faces are. His eyes flashed with excitement and malice. He stood in front of the huge display screen, picked up the microphone, and a projection of Gotham City appeared on the table in front of him. Hello, can you hear me? The Penguin knocked on the microphone. Scum. The voice came from the plane suspended in the air, and through the speakers, it resounded in the corners of the block below. The group of legions marching on the ground looked at each other, looking for the source of the sound everywhere. Beep, squeak, squeak, hey, can you hear me? The Penguin had a grim smile on his face. It seems you can all hear it. Ladies and gentlemen, I sincerely welcome everyone to our Gotham gathering. Please believe that the outcome of this gathering will definitely be carried out in our own way. I am Bane. I have no father, only a mother. If my mother could see me now, she would definitely laugh at me. Look at me dressed like this now. Bane punched the front armor of the tank, leaving a deep fist mark, and then punched again and again, tearing open the steel guard plate alive and pulling out the two living people. Just like taking crab meat out of a crab. Say something like, I am Bane. She'll definitely laugh. Although my mother doesn't laugh often. She's had enough of a miserable and unfortunate life. Bane turned his head away, protecting his cheeks with both hands, and overturned another tank like a bull. But if she could see something particularly funny, she should laugh, and she would. Let go of those tragic memories. Bullets exploded on Bane's body, and in the earth-shaking roar, Bane jumped high and stepped on a tank into a discus. A jet fighter swooped down from the sky, 2 missiles and machine guns fired at Bane, and Bane's eyes reflected the gushing fire. Do you think I don't know? An adult puts a black and white hood on his head, rushes into someone else's city, and speaks out that he wants to be a dictator in modern society. Bane caught the missiles with his bare hands, and then threw them out like an angry baby. The missiles exploded in the crowd, and blood fell like raindrops, soaking Bane, and the blood of friendly and enemy forces mixed together. The jet fighters were still roaring, fisting at others like a baby, venting anger. Bane pulled the tank's turret off with force, and he saw a good opportunity, jumped up with the force, and then swung the barrel, like throwing a huge boomerang. In a civilized society, using fists to force others to obey his orders. Boom! The muzzle of the gun went straight into the cockpit of the fighter plane. The fly hovering above his head fell down the long street in a swirl, causing a violent explosion behind Bane. The fire fluttered his clothes, illuminating half of his body, showing off the so-called brute force, tearing up all the rules, and establishing a dictatorial empire in a country without a master. His figure disappeared instantly, and he kicked the gangster holding the gun. The other party flew backwards like a spinning top without a word, plowing a blood-red road on the ground. This is really funny. The bullet couldn't break through Bane's defense at all, but his clothes were almost torn, leaving only a few pieces on his body, and his whole body was covered with red muscles massaged by bullets. And what's even funnier is that this guy who might make everyone laugh and scream is not an adult at all. The gangsters collapsed. They screamed hysterically in fear and fled in front of Bane. Yes, that's right. The one who looked down on us and planned to conquer us was just a child. Bane looked around. On the huge battlefield, he was the only one left and countless corpses. Some of his men and his enemies. But they were no longer here. There was only Bane. So Bane passed the lying corpses and his dead men. He passed the guns, the burning fire, the wreckage of the destroyed tanks, the hills and plains in his heart. The invisible hurricane swept his body, making his running seem closer to flying. The child whose dad ran away and whose mom was beaten to death. But he didn't understand, and didn't remember his mother well. Instead, he knelt on his knees and made a vow. The flames reflected in Bane's burning eyes through the hood. I swear by the blood of my parents. I will avenge their tragic deaths. I will spend the rest of my life. Conquer all evil. I'm Bane. When I was 9, I got my first weapon. A sharpened toothbrush. I knelt down and held it to my neck. Arkham Asylum. Flamingo. It's 23:58 midnight. Batman gave me a good bargaining chip. He leaned against the wall of the corridor of Arkham Asylum, playing with the knife in his hand. The knife was cold and fast. When it pierced into someone's chest, it would definitely not be stained with a single drop of blood. Stop, Bane. Take him down. And Batman promised to improve my prison conditions. But I'm a killer. I always ask people how much they're offering before I decide to take an order. So I left the group and came to ask. I think now the question becomes, what can you offer? Bane's answer was a punch to his face, followed by a punch to the abdomen, which made Flamingo vomit his internal organs like last night's swill. Once, twice, he kept beating until the other's strong tendon meat exploded and deflated. His feet flowed through the other's blood. Pain. He replied. I provide pain. He continued to go deeper into the devil's lair. I put the sharp toothbrush against my neck. It was sharp, stinging, and cold. The blood flowed to my chest, and I looked up and saw my mother. I apologized to her. I'm really sorry. I prayed to God countless times, clasped my hands together, and prayed desperately. But the only thing I could feel was the blood and spikes in my hands, that warmth. No one responded to me. No one responded. No one responded. Only I'm here, The new devil's minions appeared in front of Bane. It's 3 a.m. now. I'm the amygdala, the muscular man said. Do you have my special medicine? And I'm a movie freak. Say hello to my little friend. Note. Say hello to my little friend. This line comes from Scarface, and the movie freak is a villain who likes to say movie lines. Bane felt tired. He pressed on his back to increase the efficiency of the venom input. I am torture. Muscles swelled under the effect of the drug. I am destruction. Blue veins twisted and bulged from his skin. I am venom. Bane's body grew taller and taller, and the huge shadow was projected on the faces of the two. I am Bane. Bane saw the fear on the other's face. That was his old friend who was very familiar with him. You stand between me and Batman, so you will fall. Intense screams at the top of your lungs. The Scarecrow stood quietly at the corner. Loneliness phobia, fear of being alone. Intense screams continued, echoing with his voice. Universal phobia, fear of the terrible things that are coming. Failure phobia. He whispered. The symphony of screams accompanied his whispers, which reached their peak at this moment. Phobia of vomiting, phobia of bleeding. Then it gradually died down, like death, like the tranquility of a tombstone. Phobia of pain, phobia of death, phobia of religion. And the most terrible, phobia of scarecrows. The Scarecrow turned around suddenly, turned the corner, and aimed the huge fear gas spray gun at Bane. Fear of scarecrows. Sizzle. Bane was shrouded in a large cloud of mist. Peptide carboxymethylene dihydrogen. The scarecrow threw down the spray gun, walked in front of Bane, and poked Bane tentatively. At this moment, he looked like a primary school student waiting for a reply from the teacher. Super concentrated fear gas. The effect is 20 times that of the ordinary version. Bane slowly knelt on the ground. It's really worth using it on you. Its effect is very powerful, so it is very likely to summon terrible nightmares. Maybe, to be more precise, if you want. The scarecrow's face showed an excited and malicious smile. Maybe you can describe them to me. The scarecrow smiled proudly. Yes, what is it like? Are you falling? Are you being swallowed? Is it cancer? Oh, is the water level rising again? Will you drown because of this, little boy? His face showed a sick blush. What? Tell me quickly, what kind of nightmare do you have? But the next second, his collar was grabbed by Bane. I am Bane, I don't have nightmares. Intense fear struck the scarecrow's heart. I spread nightmares. Bane raised his fist, but he didn't have time to swing it down. The ice froze his body. You know, in the past 4 days, I have been studying your venom samples almost 24 hours a day. Mr. Freeze slowly walked out from the other side, holding a freezing gun in his hand. In addition, there is a lot of information to refer to. Now I have a thorough understanding of the composition, properties and functions of venom, a complex solution, just like my understanding of ice. Mr. Freeze approached slowly. Speaking of this, you are currently being squeezed by 2,737 pounds per cubic meter of solid ice. A perfect human being injected with the maximum possible dose of venom cannot even escape from the 1,500 pounds per cubic meter of ice. So you see, it is very difficult to escape. With a loud bang, the ice exploded easily. With one punch, Mr. Freeze's armor was blown apart, and he flew backwards like a kite. Scarecrow escaped immediately. No, impossible. Nothing is impossible, Bane told him. Only Bane. Firefly. 4:53 a.m. Firefly's armor was dismantled like a biscuit. He barely raised the flamethrower and pointed it at Bane, and Bane didn't even try to dodge. Nothing you do is worth it. He ignored the burning fire that was singeing every hair on his body. He grabbed Firefly's neck and gave him an uppercut. I will find Batman, and I will defeat him. Black Spider, 8:36 a.m. Black Spider's body was twisted in defeat. Bane gasped. All of this, all of you. Madness, fighting, death, venom. I've had enough. I prayed desperately, but no one answered me. Dr. Pig, 10:45 a.m. Behind Bane's back, Dr. Pig was lying on the ground with a big hole in his stomach. Then finally I saw it, and I saw it clearly. I let go and let the spikes slide down. Man-Bat, 2:41 p.m. His wings were torn. Mr. Zaz, 5:51 p.m. It's done, I've decided what I'm going to be. My life no longer belongs to me, I said it softly. Copperhead, 8:07 p.m. Dr. Phosphorus, 11:11 p.m. Bane's hood was half burned. My oath. That's it. It was a choice made by a child, he chose death. And Bane was reborn in that body. I am Bane. I am everything. In the dull sky, the masked man roared and waved the flames. And the hungry clouds swayed quietly in the deep sea. It's 1 a.m. After going through untold hardships, the bloody warrior Bane finally came to the Bat King's car. Batman, I have a hostage in my hand. He said. It's Jim Gordon. Here it comes. Chen Dao thought silently. His mood became increasingly indifferent, as peaceful as the water dripping from a gargoyle. It's not that he didn't notice the change in his emotions, but surprisingly, he didn't reject these. He reviewed in his heart the last time he had kidnapped. No, it was a protective kidnapping. The list of people he had forcibly taken away for protection. Gotham City Public Councilor, City Council spokesperson, Planning Committee Chairman. Of course, there was Jim Gordon. The second in command of the police station, Sheriff Harvey Bullock, was not spared. Several other important backbones of the police station who could be used as threats were also taken away together. All the people were replaced by puppets transformed by the Clayface Man, and the Clayface Man was almost drained dry. In order to achieve this feat, in addition to the key care objects like Jim Gordon, who were completely made up of the body of the Clayface man, for some less important characters, Chen Dao also chose to use the skeleton robot invented by Lucius. In this way, the Clayface only needs to cover part of his body on the surface of this robot to create a lifelike, jumping and running dummy, while greatly reducing his own physical damage. This invention greatly increases the efficiency of kidnapping. Anyone who has the slightest possibility of being kidnapped by Bane will be arrested, and anyone who has a personal relationship with Bruce Wayne, even an 80-year-old grandmother, will be handcuffed at home. Not only that, even if Bane randomly finds a passerby on the street to kidnap, he is not afraid. Not to mention that Batman already has surveillance probes all over Gotham. Chen Dao also sent Lincoln March and his claws to be on standby at any time. Hundreds of claws controlled by chips are distributed in the city, ready to rescue any hostage in any corner at any time. And the three major gang alliances composed of Two-Face, Penguin and Ventriloquist, which can completely command the entire Gotham gang, have issued orders to most of the gang members in the city to find suspicious persons a few days ago. This order spread to all the grassroots gang members in Gotham within 3 hours, and within 8 hours, any ordinary person living in the neighborhood controlled by the gangs knew about it. Driven by such a huge bonus, are you still afraid of not being able to find someone? You kidnap people, there must be a place to store hostages, right? An unfinished building with no one. Coincidentally, the homeless people all know that place. Bridge hole, overpass. There are only a few places where people can stand. Who doesn't know? You rent a house. The landlord's old lady was the first to report it. The US government cannot be so efficient, but the gangs can be. Because this is a city of gangs, the gangs are deeply rooted in every aspect of people. Most of the residents of Gotham have gang backgrounds, and the sons and fathers of many families are old gangsters from their ancestors. Locard's material exchange law tells us that any crime cannot be without traces, let alone Bane's men, a group of outsiders who lack understanding of this city. Even with the help of the prisoners in Blackgate, their existence would be as dazzling as fireflies in the dark night in the eyes of the Black Flag of Gotham. As long as they place these kidnapped hostages outside Blackgate, they will be recognized in minutes. Do you know what the king of the city means? Do you know what it means to be targeted by the whole city? What does it mean to be surrounded by enemies, and what does it mean to be an ocean? To hide something under this level of surveillance, unless it was hidden a few years ago, such as the nuclear bomb that was bought a few years ago and may be in the hands of Bane. And it is impossible to hide it on the spot. What? You said to place the hostages in Blackgate, which is completely controlled by Bane. So many claws are there for nothing. As long as Bane is not in the prison in person, who can stop them? Under such insane and outrageous mass compulsory protection and comprehensive surveillance, Chen Dao didn't believe that he could still face the passive situation of being kidnapped by his close friends or innocent people and being unable to fight back like the saintly protagonists in third-rate trash novels. And the development of the facts was indeed as Chen Dao expected. I kidnapped Jim Gordon, and he is now being held by my men in Blackgate prison. The Clayface is pretending to be him. You can try to call him. I will call you and you will track this phone. Tear up the hostage quickly, hurry up, don't talk nonsense. Bane made a call and hung up a few minutes later. His face under the half-broken hood was expressionless. He was silent for a while, and then said, I kidnapped Harvey Bullock. Chen Dao interrupted him directly. The Clayface is pretending to be him. The old process, call, confirm, hang up. I kidnapped Mayor Carlo. The Clayface is fake. Public counselor. Clayface. I kidnapped. Bane called out more than a dozen names in a row, only to get the same repetition as Batman. Clayface pretending to be him. In the end, Bane was too lazy to call to confirm. He just kept calling out names and got the answer he had expected. He stopped calling out those futile names. Chen Dao saw his fists tightening again and again, and veins spread from his neck to his forehead. Impossible. Clayface can't separate himself into so many people at the same time. I've studied his nature. I kidnapped dozens of people at the same time. They can't all. How did you do it? Because we have Doraemon. Of course, Chen Dao wouldn't tell Bane this. You can guess for yourself. Bane was silent, but even though his plan seemed to have failed completely, Chen Dao didn't let down his guard at all. He was waiting for Bane to pull out another trump card. Will the nuclear bomb that was bought really be in his hands? I still have the last 2 kidnapping targets. Quote. Chen Dao was stunned for a moment. Isn't it a nuclear bomb? The 2 final kidnapping targets. Stop talking, the clay-faced man is fake. You may have to take another look at this. Chen Dao's face became slightly serious. In the few seconds that Bane spoke, he had repeatedly reviewed all the points of his actions in his mind, but there was no new discovery for the time being. Bane seemed to have a plan in mind, and things were a little out of his control. This is normal. Even if he made more preparations, he is not an omniscient and omnipotent god after all. But, no matter what trump card Bane has, he has been fully prepared to ensure that he can deal with it. So, what is it? Bane, do you have any trump cards that I haven't expected? Under such a dense siege, what kind of struggle can you make? The trump card has been revealed. Chen Dao's eyes widened. I still have 2 hostages you would never expect. Bane opened his palms, and the venom began to pour into his body little by little, swelling up his already burly body. On one side of his body, green plants grew from under his flesh and blood, breaking through his muscles and skin, causing Bane to bleed bright red. On the other side, his body quickly rotted. A strong stench spread from that half of his body, and his flesh cracked inch by inch, oozing out yellow-brown corpse fluid. The 2 forces began to wrestle with each other at the dividing point of his body, as if to tear Bane in half, and then at this time, with Bane's nose as the center, the middle part of his body quickly turned pale with blue veins. Was it the transformation of amber gold? The venom gurgled into his body, and the 3 forces actually reached a strange balance, appearing on Bane's body at the same time, making him look like a 3-color ice cream. Chen Dao knew that such a metaphor was inappropriate and impolite, but this transformation did add a dramatic touch to Bane's serious and cruel life. Bane stretched out the arm that was stained by the black power of decay. He lightly grasped in the air, as if guiding some intangible and invisible power to infuse his whole body. His half-body covered with corpse spots swelled again, but was then suppressed by the amber gold and the green of all things. Come on. Chen Dao felt a chill. He heard a hissing sound, as if some giant rat had dug a tunnel underground and tried to drill into Arkham Asylum. Chen Dao's mind was suddenly tense. What is that? He silently transformed his body into the nano-body of Nano Batman, and the drifting black veil gradually condensed in the room. Chen Dao had made full preparations. No matter what came out from under the floor, it would be struck by thunder the moment it emerged. Black of decay, black of decay. Could it be that Bane and Black of Decay had some collusion? What giant rotten worm would come out from the ground? A giant beast covered with corpse spots. It couldn't be a dead centipede with various broken limbs sewn all over its body, howling as it rushed out of the ground, right? Chen Dao's brain was spinning frantically, and he deduced all kinds of ideas in these few seconds. He was shocked that his brain was spinning so fast. Is the water in the Lazarus pool that I prepared before enough? Amid all kinds of crazy thoughts, the sound stopped. The thing digging underground finally reached under the floor. A drop of cold sweat dripped from Chen Dao's forehead. With a click, the floor made a slight sound. Then the next second, a pale hand pulled the head, smashed the floor directly, and roared to the sky in the room. This terrible monster, wait, what is this? Chen Dao widened his eyes and saw the 2 zombies crawling out of the floor in disbelief. Unforgivable, Chen Dao said. I feel this power called the Black of Decay. Bane replied. You may not understand how terrible this power is. The boundary between life and death has never been so blurred in front of me as it is at this moment. I have been close to death countless times, and I have been ready to embrace death. But I never thought that one day, I would master death. Batman, he said seriously. I now realize so clearly that, death is not the end of everything, but the beginning of everything. Unforgivable, Chen Dao whispered to himself. So, Batman, I solemnly introduce my last 2 hostages to you. Thomas Wayne, the slightly taller zombie roared, and the sound like a broken saxophone sounded from his windy throat. Martha Wayne, the slightly shorter zombie followed with a howl, sharp, piercing, and full of hatred for all the living in the world. A pearl necklace hung around her neck. Intact, pure and flawless. Chen Dao covered his face and sobbed softly. Unforgivable. The tremendous anger brewed in his voice. How dare you? How dare you do this to my parents? Wait, aren't these Batman's parents? A bolt of lightning struck Chen Dao's brain, dispelling all the sadness in his mind. Question mark, question mark, question mark. Why should I be sad? These are not my parents. I am the time traveler Chen Dao. Batman's parents' graves have been dug up. What does it have to do with me, a time traveler? Chen Dao realized why he had never considered Thomas Wayne and Martha Wayne, because he had never cared about these two bodies at all. He subconsciously never thought that these two bodies were something that could threaten him. Then how could he make a plan to prevent them from being robbed? Exclamation mark. Do you think I don't know the existence of the Clayface? Do you think I would be stupid enough not to take any precautions against the Clayface? I am disappointed, Batman, that you underestimate me so much. This is why you made a mistake. Bane slowly walked between the two zombies. Although you replaced all the hostages I kidnapped with the Clayface, this still surprised me. But I never thought from the beginning that relying solely on those hostages could shake your mind. Chen Dao lowered his head, his shoulders twitched, as if he was sobbing. Bane looked down at him. This huge blow, a devastating blow, seemed to make Batman shocked and angry, and lost all the will to fight. The plan was accomplished so well, and the great feat of deceiving Batman made Bane feel a little dizzy. The pamphlet you wrote to me on how to fight the Joker also revealed how to fight you to some extent. This is almost a confession you wrote to me. Despicable. Bane saw Batman covering his face. He stood up from his seat, then covered his stomach, fell to the ground, and slowly bent his body. I knew that the hostages I kidnapped would most likely be replaced by the Clayface. I knew that even if I kidnapped those hostages, I couldn't keep them from you, but I still did it. It was all a trick, Batman. Those hostages distracted your attention, Jim Gordon, Harvey Bullock. You paid too much attention to them, and made you forget to guard against the two most important people in your life. This is all written in your booklet. How to fight the Joker. Distract his attention. How to fight Batman. Distract. His attention. So now, dying. Bane manipulated two zombies to block in front of him. In the next battle, if you want to attack me, you must personally grind your parents to ashes. Even with Bane's scheming, he could no longer suppress the high spirits in his tone. The uneasiness of being close to victory pushed his blood straight to his brain, if he still had blood to flow in his veins. Batman fell to his knees, covering his face, and twitching slowly. Woo woo woo, woo woo woo. Oh my God, you're not crying, are you? Bane said. Woo woo woo, woo ha ha, woo ha ha ha. What? Bane's expression changed little by little, and his originally excited expression froze on his face. Hee hee, ha ha ha, hee hee ha 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 ha. Chen Dao laughed hysterically, and he laughed so hard that he fell down, rolled on the ground, and pounded the ground hard. Ha ha ha, ha 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 ha. What do you mean? You think that pretending to be disdainful will. You can. Bane was in a mess. He had repeatedly deduced countless times in his mind the possible reactions of Batman. The other party was furious, the other party attacked him, the other party responded calmly, and the other party had other backups. He also repeatedly pondered his own response. He even listed dozens of different methods on the draft paper, making sure to induce Batman to be forced to destroy the bodies of the Waynes in various situations, so as to completely make Batman lose his mind in grief and anger, and weaken the other party's judgment as much as possible. He planned very well, he planned for a long time, and he was so serious that he was like a student trying to memorize all the answers before the exam. But why? The content of the exam changed. His brain stagnated. But Bane's chi was only disordered for a short moment. This is not logical, he said. I have studied you, Batman. The opportunity for you to become Batman comes from the departure of your parents and childhood trauma. Me too, Bane said silently in his heart. Batman, childhood misfortunes shape us, which constitute the link between you and me. We are so similar, we are the same kind of people. Your parents occupy a very important position in your life, you can never turn a blind eye to them. Stand up, Batman, such a trick can't deceive me, but will tarnish our battle. When you see me dig them out of the grave, you should know the current situation. I want. Ha ha ha, do you want to grind them to ashes, or take the bones off and cook bone soup? Then he saw Batman said, Cook quickly, and remember to give me a bowl of soup when you really cook it. Dumb. Ah. Thomas Wayne, who stood in front of Bane, suddenly vomited, and a large lump of disgusting green mucus was spit out of his mouth, and then dripped onto the ground, drilling through the floor tiles in just a few seconds, and a lush green sapling grew on the ground. Bane's face darkened. Okay. He hooked his finger, and then Thomas Wayne jumped on the spot, rushing towards Batman in an anti-human posture like a 365-degree Thomas spin. He manipulated Bruce Wayne's biological mother Martha Wayne as a shield, and followed closely behind. As long as Batman hesitated a little when facing his biological father, he would have the opportunity to really hit the opponent before revealing the last trump card. Swish. Chen Dao didn't care. Half of his arm disintegrated into black sand, and then condensed into a blade, directly piercing Thomas Wayne's chest, and then easily took off Thomas Wayne's head like taking the cherry on a cream cake. Bane stopped moving, his running posture paused, and he silently watched Chen Dao tossing the cherry up and down in his hand. Tisk, look, Chen Dao said. The parents exchanged for the expired parent exchange voucher are also expired. Quote. Bane was speechless for a moment. What does this tell us? Don't use expired things. Bane opened his mouth and tried his best to organize his words, but he felt that all the words he wanted to say were stuck in his throat, like a mouthful of old phlegm, unable to spit out or swallow back. Chen Dao weighed the cherry in his hand, and then his eyes stayed on the hole in Thomas Wayne's chest. But this story also tells us that people should be more open-minded, even if it is expired. Enough. Stop talking. Bane covered his head. He didn't know why he became the one who was stimulated. Thomas Wayne was not his father. But at this time, Chen Dao only felt that his thoughts were clear and his heart was comfortable. Yes, this is the original him. For so long, he always subconsciously imitated the style and planning methods of Batman in his impression in the comics. He imitated it to the point of losing himself, and even his speech and walking were full of Bruce flavor. But this is not right. Whether to become Batman temporarily or to resolve to kill Bane, this is Chen Dao's choice. Even if he wears the mask of Batman, what he practices should be Chen Dao's justice, Batman's justice. Just like he murdered the Joker without hesitation before. He can imitate or even completely replicate Bruce's actions, but he should never become him, or no one can become him. His sorrow, his pain, his love, his hatred, Chen Dao found that he could not and did not need to become him. This is not logical. Bane repeated what he said before in an unbelievable tone. Why? Because although I decided to be Batman temporarily, I am not Bruce Wayne. Well, of course I can't answer Bane like this. So Chen Dao used a panacea answer. Because I am Batman. Bane was silent. I understand. Quote. What do you understand? You crazy. Why did you suddenly start to curse people? I'm so stupid that I didn't figure out your true nature until now. Bane said. You regard the identity of Batman as more important than the identity of Bruce Wayne. Although I haven't seen other super vigilantes, I can basically guess their situation. They wear superhero masks, but they are still just mortals under the masks. But you are different, Bane concluded. There has never been a Bruce Wayne disguised as Batman, only Batman disguised as Bruce Wayne. My mistake is that I tried to use normal people's logic to deduce your behavior, and ignored that you and your enemies are all crazy. And among crazy people, there is never a question of which one is more crazy or more crazy. Therefore, Bruce Wayne's sadness and hatred are not important at all. No matter how I hurt Thomas Wayne, it is impossible to mobilize Batman's emotions, because Bruce Wayne does not exist. He is just a fake person, a mask. Under the mask is only you. Batman, a madman. This is really a huge misunderstanding. Chen Dao thought. I am just wearing a Batman mask. Of course, he did not intend to expose Bane's conclusion. Frankly speaking, in the absence of the most critical information that Batman is a time traveler, Bane's deduction seems to be the most logical conclusion. Based on a wrong premise, he deduced a complete set of logic, and then convinced himself, and then he acted there in shock and surprise. Well, forget it, let's leave this misunderstanding. Chen Dao stuffed Bruce Wayne's father's big head back to its original place. The plant connected the broken part, and Thomas Wayne uttered a vague mutter. Ah bah bah bah. Then, Bane, let's reveal the last cards at once. You won't have no tricks, right? Of course not, Bane answered him. He reached out to call back Thomas Wayne, and then took out a projection communicator from Martha Wayne and put it on his arm. Nuclear bomb, he said. The Joker is preparing to launch a nuclear bomb now. He clicked on the communicator, and as the three-dimensional image lit up, the Joker appeared on the two-dimensional screen projected by the light. Ha 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 ha, Bat, guess what a surprise is? Chen Dao's heart began to beat fast, and the development of the matter was still within his expectations for the time being. Batman, we are trying to track the Joker's signal. Tim's voice sounded from Chen Dao's headset. Delay a little longer, and we will find him soon, find the location of the nuclear bomb. Even if the Joker is not with the nuclear bomb, as long as there is any remote control device for the nuclear bomb explosion around him, we can find the specific location of the nuclear bomb through him. So we just need to delay a little longer. You won't destroy Gotham with a nuclear bomb, Chen Dao said. You just want to conquer this city, not destroy it. What use is a pile of broken bricks and tiles to you? This is nonsense. The reason why nuclear blackmail can be called blackmail is because it must have a specific target. Even if it is not Gotham City, it can be other cities. All Bane needs is a bargaining chip. As for which city this bargaining chip is, it doesn't matter. Bane knew that Batman would not fail to think of this with his brain, and he also knew that the other party wanted to delay time, but he didn't seem to care. Hello Big Bat, can you hear me? Ayoho, he, shouldn't I be the one holding the big fireworks now? The Joker yelled on the other side of the communicator. I'm angry, I'm going to launch the big fireworks. Be quiet, Bane said to him. So the Joker actually quieted down obediently. He just stopped there, just like the video was paused. So I never thought about blowing up Gotham. He heard Bane say. The target of the nuclear bomb is Metropolis. What does this have to do with Metropolis? Chen Dao's heart sank. He had sent Alfred to try to find Clark Kent in Metropolis before, but he didn't find this person for the time being. Due to the huge population flow in Metropolis, it is not possible to find a foreigner Clark Kent in the tens of millions of people who are constantly moving in a short time. But according to the timeline, if Jimmy has already started working as a photographer under Lois Lane, and Clark Kent has not yet joined the Daily Planet, it means that our Kansas boy is very likely still in the period of just leaving his small town farm and just coming to the big city in Metropolis, busy looking for a job. Is Superman at this time really capable of protecting tens of millions of people under a nuclear bomb? If he fails, will he, who has witnessed such a tragedy, let the world develop directly in the direction of injustice and justice lords? Note: the Superman of these two parallel universes is a tyrant and a dictator. He also hopes that after everything is over, he will retire as he promised Alfred, and then find Superman to replace him. He originally thought that even if he wanted to attack Bane, he would prioritize attacking several cities around Gotham. Forget it, anyway, as long as the nuclear bomb flies out of Gotham, there will be rivers of blood, or it should be said that the blood will be evaporated, and tens of millions of people will die. No matter what the result is, he can't accept it. So he also prepared enough backup. Like a real Batman, he kept multiple backup plans. Bruce, we are still looking, locating, and we will find it soon. Robin's voice kept coming from the headset. Wait a little longer. If you plan to blow up Metropolis with a nuclear bomb, then Metropolis will be blown up. Chen Dao tried to talk nonsense. Quote. Bane didn't know what to say for a while. He just wanted to say something threatening, and then his thoughts were interrupted by Chen Dao's nonsense literature. He shook his head, as if to shake his brain, and then reorganized his language for a while. Blowing up Metropolis has no meaning to me, and destroying tens of millions of innocent lives is not my intention. If life is destroyed, then life will die. Chen Dao continued to talk nonsense, urging in his heart. Hurry up, don't interrupt me again. Bane snorted angrily, and then tried to adjust his voice back to the original cold and cruel tone, but failed. Ah, hell, I didn't mean to blow up Metropolis at all. Everything I did was for you. You, to defeat you, to conquer your city, to weaken you. Batman, I offer you a way to save Metropolis. Bane let out a breath and finished what he was going to say, a chance to sacrifice yourself. He waved to Martha Wayne, who was standing next to him, and she walked over, and then half of her body split open without warning. Bane put his hand into her belly. Here, after 10 months of pregnancy, the miracle of life was born, wasn't it? He took out a bottle of liquid prepared in advance from Martha Wayne's body. But this place can also store life-threatening poisons. Bane placed the bottle of poison in front of Chen Dao. This is my gift to you, Batman. You have to drink it. He said maliciously. In order to weaken you, I specially made venom for you, a good way to erode your body. He said. After that day, I studied the essence of your body, some tiny nanorobots. There are also some car and dinosaur transformations. I know you well now. He said. This is specially developed for you. They can destroy your nano body and make you never have a chance to confront me head on. I don't know when you actually have the talent for scientific research. Chen Dao said a little strangely, thinking. Does Bane have such a setting? Developing such a thing in just 4 days? You can choose to believe it or not. I guess you must be thinking at this moment, how can I have such scientific research ability to develop corresponding targeted drugs in just 4 days? Bane pointed to the can of venom on his back, but it is also possible. After all, I have fully mastered the skills of making venom and am a self-taught poison master. So you want to take a gamble? Bet that I am lying to you. Even if it is true, you will not die. I can tell you very clearly that I do not have the ability to develop a drug that can kill you. It's nothing more than being weakened. You have the confidence to beat me, right? Bane's voice whispered, and Tim's voice sounded. Batman, I found a place, but there is no one here. Chen Dao frowned, and he directly turned the sound to hands-free mode. There is no Joker, no nuclear weapons, no console. Wait, there is no live broadcast, this is just a video. Bane suddenly looked at the communicator on his wrist. He looked even more surprised than Chen Dao. How could it be? He said, I clearly asked the Joker. Chen Dao whispered into the headset, contact Harley and Poison Ivy, we still have a backup plan, it's okay. But before he finished speaking, he heard a familiar laugh. Ha 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 ha. Chen Dao probably guessed what was going on. The seeds he had planted by instigating the Joker and Bane finally blossomed and bore fruit. He turned around and saw the Joker appear at the corner of the corridor, staring at Bane with malicious eyes. How could I let you take away Batman's favor like this? Joker, this is not our plan. Bane said. Before he crossed over, many analysts had already analyzed the Joker's nature thoroughly. Even if you really catch up with him, you don't know what to do with him. You are just doing things for the sake of doing things. Of course, Chen Dao knew very well that these deconstructions of the Joker were essentially the result of a blind man touching an elephant, and all the conclusions were just a glimpse of the leopard. No matter whether you touch the elephant's legs or the elephant's tail, it is just the tip of the iceberg of the elephant. Chen Dao warned himself in his heart. These conclusions cannot make people fully understand the Joker. He is a disordered pale man. Even a smart person like Luther cannot completely predict his trajectory of action. Therefore, we must respond to each move and decide according to the situation. Oh, sweetheart, you still understand me. The Joker made a touched expression. You are more considerate and lovely, unlike Bane, a reckless man, although you are also always making plans. He said, alas, I am almost fed up with plans recently. The Court of Owls has plans, the police have plans, and even Bane has plans. You are a bunch of annoying conspirators. You always hold your own little world firmly in your hands. Well, but you know, he said in a light tone, I am not a conspirator. Then in the second half of his sentence, without any warning, his tone immediately turned gloomy and violent. I want to make those conspirators realize how pathetic and ridiculous their efforts to control everything are. Ha 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 ha. He bent over with laughter. Then he quickly straightened his body like a spring and continued as if nothing had happened. Oh, I'm sorry for my intrusion. I really wish I could restrain my crazy laughter, but he is really special, the way it echoes in your mind. Joker, I've heard enough of your useless nonsense. Bane said, where is the nuclear bomb I gave you? You should have triggered him, you pale clown. But you ruined everything. You did a stupid thing, Joker. It's far below your villain level. We could have completely defeated the Batman. Batman. He concluded, this is a betrayal. I had expected more from you. You expected something from me. The Joker said, no offense. The smile faded from his face in an instant. You deserve it. Bane pressed the button on the back of his hand, and the venom behind him began to pour into his body again. Batman, I'm sorry, maybe before we start our final showdown, I have to clean up an unexpected situation. He even apologized to me. He really did. I cried to death. Chen Dao felt that he had suddenly become a gift that was being fought over. This feeling was too weird. He squatted beside and quietly observed the development of the situation. At the same time, through the communicator in his hand, he silently gave orders to the many people outside, be ready to intercept possible nuclear bombs at any time. I never liked you, Joker, ha 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 ha. Bane said. You think I won't be on guard against your betrayal? Ha ha ha. But I thought you could at least help me attract some attention from Batman, puff. Ha 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 ha. What's going on? Bane covered his mouth. He began to find something wrong. How could it be? I clearly guessed that you would put laughing gas in the Titan venom I used to strengthen myself, so I took precautions, ha 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 ha. I took precautions, and made sure that the venom I poured into the bottle was pure. How could you ha 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 ha. He couldn't control his laughter. I carefully checked every glass of water and every edible thing you handled. I never ate them. You would never have the chance to do me. Enough, stop laughing. But Bane was completely helpless against his uncontrollable laughter. I'm going to kill you. Puff, ho ho ho. Bane said, I'm going to kill you. I'm going to cut open your brain and make sure every nerve burns in endless pain and suffering, and make sure you never go into shock. Ah ha 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 ha. Oh, I'm so scared that I'm going to hide in my little boots. Hold on, Bane. Maybe you can imagine something really scary, hee hee hee. The Joker revealed the answer. It's air. Remember the time you came to me? That ridiculous little pre-war plot. You came to me to tell me about your plans that made people laugh so hard that their stomachs hurt. Impossible, Bane said. I am proficient in pharmacy, hee hee hee. I understand the composition of drugs. Even if you can prepare a poison gas with a delayed effect, it is impossible to accurately control the physical condition of each individual. He said, in theory, the stronger the individual, the more powerful the drug. The attack time will be longer, ha ha ha. For example, if you really mix a delayed poison gas, the soldiers in the same room with you should definitely attack before me, unless this poison gas is. That's right, smart Bane. The clown laughed. It seems that you have also realized it. I have designed a new formula for you. Do you know, it is the love and care in the clown gift package that will make you a repeat customer. Of course, the premise is that you can survive tonight. Quote. God, Bane, I am a well-educated clown, and I know you. We have been together for so long, haven't we? We share the joys and sorrows. Quote. The clown squatted in front of Bane. The other party smiled from the corners of his mouth to his ears and covered his stomach on the ground. You may be on guard against me, you may never have trusted me from the beginning, but you are always Bane. How boring, you are always predictable, you try the same thing again and again. How funny. Do you really think you are pursuing something meaningful? You have tried your best to come up with all kinds of new tricks, but in the end it is still the same old tricks that Roman and Maloney played, Bane. Defeat Batman, rule the city, build your own underworld empire, threaten heroes with hostages. It's too predictable, it makes the humor disappear. Although I didn't intend to kill you at first, but, you are too boring, and I will change my personality 3 times before breakfast. The Joker said, you think I don't know? Oh, Bane, you started it first. I am heartbroken by your distrust. The Joker wiped away the non-existent tears and spread his hands and said, wow, you just entrusted the nuclear weapon to me, such a beautiful big firework, you just gave it to me casually, do you think I will believe this fairy tale? The nuclear bomb you gave me is fake. An empty firecracker, you cunning wolf, the real thing must be lying quietly in some corner now. You never thought of destroying Metropolis from the beginning, right? The Joker grabbed his hair in a mad way, and the green hair was stretched straight by his fingertips. It's too blasphemous. You took out such a big firecracker and showed it to others, but refused to light it. This is fraud, fraud. Yes, you just want to be a local tyrant in a city, not to become a public enemy of mankind. Letting a mushroom cloud rise in the metropolis will only make the national government kill you at all costs, just like Bin Laden back then. How can you be the king of Gotham peacefully? Ah, the Joker retched. I really want to vomit. He said. He held his chin. So at the beginning I thought, you know. He opened his palm and waved it in the air excitedly, as if he was conducting a non-existent band. It will be fun to help you get to the edge of victory, and then throw everything in your face. I originally wanted you to defeat Batman so carefully and seize the city, and then I would steal everything right under your nose. I have prepared a death trap for you. Look, you will suddenly laugh out loud when fighting with Batman at the most intense moment. This will definitely add a lot of humor to you. Of course, this may be fatal, but it is also possible that you will struggle to survive the worst part, and then you will think you have won and defeated Batman. Chen Dao's heart tightened. He already knew what the Joker could do. Bane said, "It's difficult, ah ha 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 ha, you." In the current situation, he even had difficulty speaking. Well, it's really difficult to monitor your conversation with the mysterious man. It's really strange. I don't know who he is, and I can't guess it. I think Mr. Nigma may like this puzzle very much, but it doesn't matter to me. The clown said, "No matter who gave you the nuclear bomb, you have to use the big firecracker now that you have it, right? You hide this beauty well and don't want others to see her beauty. Shouldn't I pull her out? You have secretly mastered my nuclear bomb, the nuclear bomb I hid so well, the real nuclear bomb." The clown laughed wildly. "Bingo. That's right, I will be the most proud and happy when you are the most proud, the happiest. When you reach the peak of your life I will immediately blow up Metropolis with your backhand. Then everyone will know that it was you who did it, and you will immediately go from being a gangster star who is about to take over the city to a fugitive who is in constant fear. Are you happy?" The Joker raised his hands, as if embracing the peak plan, and then quickly pinched his nose in disappointment. "Well, this is the original plan, you know, Bane. Ever since you released me from Arkham Asylum, I have been investigating you. In the past few months, I have been trying to rebuild your small water dungeon in Penudero Prison in Gotham Playground. I have interviewed many eyewitnesses in an attempt to make it a memorial to your failure." The Joker pinched Bane's chin. "Just to let you see your foreseeable dream of being the king of Gotham shattered before your eyes. I even plan to let the bats participate in the government's first phase of the siege on you, and then blow you up into the sky while you are fighting fiercely, and let everyone see what I have done to you." The Joker held up his corsage and let Bane see it. "See this little fountain? It is filled with special corrosive acid, added with a destructive solution specifically for plants, and Lazarus pool water that makes your half-rotten body in pain. If I aim at you, it can blow your eat through your temples and skin, then go all the way down as you scream, eat your brain from both sides to the middle, and outline a perfect smile on your extraordinary brain and strong muscles." Quote. He leaned in front of Bane and whispered lostly, "You can feel it gradually shutting down, Bane. One piece after another, your intelligence and physical strength decrease over time, and you will feel your loss completely. You will have consciousness and pain until the end. Quote. You will become my new masterpiece, just for the bat. This is my whole plan, my perfect and beautiful plan. Batman, the nuclear interception system is ready." Poison Ivy's voice quietly sounded in Chen Dao's headphones. "If nothing goes wrong, the nuclear weapon will climb up, leave the atmosphere, and then fall. And Poison Ivy's plants can help us detect the trajectory of the missile. You know, those plant pollen spores spread in the air." Lucius' voice came from the side of the communication channel, and he said very quickly, "I'm sorry, I'm not a plant expert, I really don't understand the principle, but in terms of effect, she is just like a human sensor radar, or a humanoid plant sensor radar. In short, she is more accurate and has a wider coverage than all our sensors. With Poison Ivy helping us locate, we can confirm the launch trajectory of all nuclear bombs in a very short time, but please note that we must not rule out the possibility of dozens of missiles being launched at the same time as a cover to ensure that the real one is not our interceptor missiles intercepted the situation." Quote. He said, "If it really comes to that time, Batman, you must intercept it yourself. Your nano body flies very fast, is extremely tough, and is extremely agile. As long as you equip your head and chest with protection, you can surpass the performance of most aircraft and break the constraints of the atmosphere in a short time." Lucius said, "As long as the nuclear bomb does not fall from the atmosphere, it will not have the risk of explosion. As long as you can slow down its speed before it falls, or simply detonate it in outer space, then this crisis will immediately disappear. Quote. At the same time as Lucius' words, the voice of the Joker rang out. Look, what a perfect plan, but such a perfect and beautiful plan, because of an accident, it can no longer be done. I am so sad. Quote. The Joker said. No complicated and interesting plans, no more troubles. Quote. I want to launch a nuclear bomb directly. Quote. Chapter 91. Never again. No more games. What do you mean? As the name implies, Bat. The Joker looked a little dazed. He looked like he was dreaming. No kidnapping. Number 2 choice, let me guess. Do you think I would kidnap Robin? Do you think the place Robin stepped into now is a trap? He laughed mockingly. I have anticipated all the worst-case scenarios and made all the necessary preparations. Chen Dao said. The voices of Deadshot, Cheshire Cat and Killer Croc rang out from his headset. Batman, there is nothing here, no Joker's men, and no traps that suddenly rose up. This is not what you expected. I know, the same old trick. The Joker sat on the ground a little depressed, leaning against Bane who was kneeling on the ground and laughing silently. I guess the Robin who walked in must be the Clayface in disguise. Since that incident, you won't let those children get hurt again. He looked at himself and said pitifully, just like you don't like me anymore. The Joker raised his head, and the crazy face he used to have was actually calm, and he looked a little weirdly sincere. So we don't play games anymore, Batman. No giant laughing gas balloons, no bouncing dinosaurs, freaks and circuses, no roses, beautiful big fireworks and birthday parties. He said, now things are very simple, the metropolis will be destroyed, tens of millions of people will die, and you will kill me. You must not hesitate. Chen Dao pressed his headset hard, everyone has. And Lucius' voice sounded faster than his. Dozens of missiles were detected taking off from Gotham City. Cold sweat broke out on his face. They are distributed in different locations in Gotham. He jumped up from his seat, fell in front of the computer, and yelled at the communication. Poison Ivy, tell me their path. On the other side of Gotham, Poison Ivy, with her red hair flying, was sitting under a huge hemispherical machine. This was a technology from Mad Hatter Tech, a mind projection device that could read the most terminal and tiny signals in the human brain neurons and then convert them into visible information. I'm checking. Don't rush me, I need time. Lucius on the other side looked up at the small bright spots rising from all corners of the city on the computer screen. You may have to hurry up. He said, our detector can only determine the approximate trajectory. We need more detailed data. The deviation should not exceed 1 centimeter, the more accurate the better, and we must not miss any. He opened the transparent cover on a red button on the table next to him, and then put his hand on it. Hurry up, Poison Ivy. I need the most accurate number before launching all the interceptor missiles. Shut up, I'm checking. Poison Ivy roared back. Be quiet. Lucius saw that some of the dozens of missiles on the screen had fallen, and the jamming devices they had deployed in the city had played a certain role. But no one dared to bet that the real nuclear warhead mixed in these dozens of missiles happened to be one of the ones that fell. He suppressed his anxiety. Although Batman had told him long ago that if there was a worst-case scenario, it would definitely happen, and although he had prepared himself mentally before the incident, he still felt his hands shaking. He suddenly grabbed his wrist with his other hand and forcibly stopped the trembling. This hand will be used to press buttons in a while, so don't shake, don't shake. He said to the communication, Batman, take the jammer I prepared for you. If the missiles are not completely blocked. No, the Joker rushed over and hugged Chen Dao's legs. Don't do this, Batman. He shouted loudly, laughing sadly, don't leave. I have paid so much for you. Kill me quickly, if I can die in your hands, it will be an extremely happy thing, this is the best ending for me. For a moment, Chen Dao really wanted to chop off the Joker's head with a knife. This should be very fast, just condense the blade and then gently scrape. But he resisted the urge. It's not because of the iron rule of not killing, but he was afraid that if he killed the Joker nakedly, he would inhale some Joker gas and become a laughing bat, which would be troublesome. Who knows what the Joker has hidden in his body. If he wants to kill him, he must put him into the crusher invented by Lucius to kill him. As for hesitation, none at all. Neither the Riddler's dark binding theory, nor the Joker's bad day, nor Batman's original slippery slope theory could restrain him. Chen Dao knew very well that he was not a madman, and he would never become a scum or tyrant without bottom line just because of killing the Joker. The Joker was not special, he was never special. He had already murdered the other party once. Let go. He kicked the Joker in the face. You stinky trash, dead pervert, you are so disgusting, don't come near me, let go. No, please, let this all end like this. The Joker pleaded loudly. I am the most special one, they all say you killed. His voice stopped abruptly, and he swallowed the half-sentence that had not yet been said back into his stomach. Chen Dao's heart moved slightly. The Joker continued to shout as if nothing had happened. This is unfair. We have been together for so long, and I should be the first person you want to murder. I should be the one who started your fall. Not someone else. I am jealous and crazy. The first batch of missiles has been located. Lucius in the headset looked at the bright spot marked by red dots on the computer screen and punched the red button fiercely. Fire. Batman, he said, you must be ready to fly out at any time to intercept any missed. I know. Chen Dao kicked the Joker in the face again. Get out of here, you disgusting. No, I'm not disgusting, I'm your favorite. Chen Dao lost his patience. Silver white particles flashed, followed by the thick fist of Bane Bat. He squeezed his palm, and the next moment green appeared on his arm. The strange power and claws from the Bat Dragon and the superposition of Bane Bat only hit the Joker and sent him flying backwards, like a cockroach on the ground. Chen Dao tried his best to control the force and not kill him. The Joker's attitude confirmed some of his guesses, but now was not the time to think about these. Often the simpler and more brutal plans are more effective. If the Joker plans to play some tricks like kidnapping Robin, Chen Dao can handle it with ease, because he can predict it. But directly launching. This is completely a test of Chen Dao's preparation in advance. If the preparation is not sufficient, it will fail immediately. I'll be there soon. He turned his head and said to Lucius in the communication, I'll be there soon. Batman. Chen Dao turned his head, and the Joker got up from the ground trembling all over. His strong muscles burst his clothes, exposing his pale body with red skin holes to the air. Chen Dao sank his face. Titan venom. I'm your favorite court jester. Sorry, Lucius, I may need 3 minutes. Chen Dao said. Just 3 minutes. At the same time, in the Batcave, Riddler Edward Nygma was locked up in a transparent cell by himself. He sat in a corner with a stack of files in his hand, as if he was forgotten by the whole world. But soon he stood up and walked to the tempered glass of the cell. Oh my God, he said. It's you, Joker. I am Chen Dao, and I am also Batman. I recently discovered that in the universe I traveled through, there seems to be more than one Joker. I quickly guessed what the plot was. 3 Jokers. I thought that the relatively unpopular and unfinished publication, 3 Jokers, would not be reflected in the reality I live in. But I was wrong. Take a look at this file I found on the Batcomputer. Over the years, the Jokers have been kidnapping people all over the city to try to make a better Joker. They let many people accept the compound. Doctors, criminals, people born in different families, each of them is a candidate for a better Joker. Of course, except for the 3 strongest ones, most of the Jokers are defective, such as these. Joker No. 28. Code name Surgeon. Joker No. 6. Code name Cult Leader. Joker number 8. Code name Dentist. Oh, now we have to add 2 more. Joker number 31. Code name Star Chaser. I tricked him into Wayne Tower and threw him into the Lucius Grinder. Then there is this one, Joker number 32. I hadn't thought of a code name for him before, but now I have one. Joker number 32, code name, Death Wisher. He is a guy who wants to die. He sees death at the hands of Batman as the beginning of Batman's fall, and he wants to start this beginning by himself. But they are not the main guys, they are all pawns. I know who is the most dangerous character after reading the comics. Joker No. 1. Criminal. Joker No. 2. The Laugher. Joker No. 3. Harlequin. Them. And when I am on guard against Bane, I should also be on guard against them. Comma. A sunny morning. In the safest neighborhood of Gotham City, a simple city, the Laugher drove a purple truck, humming a leisurely tune, and stopped in front of a warm little house. He got out of the car and opened the door. Hey, honey, I'm back. He hung his hat on the hanger at the door and held his cane in his palm, the sharp tip emitting cold light. Oh, hello, honey. The hostess of the house showed a forced smile. I didn't expect you to come back so early, but dinner is ready. It smells so good, the laugher said. He walked around the table twice and looked quietly at the 3 octopus rice on the table. The atmosphere seemed a little dull inexplicably. I'm so glad that you are satisfied. But before the woman finished speaking, she was interrupted by the clown. Where is the son? The woman trembled. Oh, of course, I'll call him right away. She turned out of the living room like she was escaping and walked to the stairs on the 2nd floor, where the son of the family was curled up. Baby, your dad is back. I don't want to go down. The boy twitched in fear. Oh, I'm sorry, honey, you know if your dad comes home and we don't want to have dinner with him, he'll be so sad. Tears flowed from the corners of the son's eyes. Why can't we just walk away? Listen, I know you're mad that he often doesn't come home, but he loves us deeply deeply, please come down to dinner, just for me. The woman's calves were shaking. I can't keep him under the stairs much longer. Dear son, the food is getting cold. The voice of the laugher sounded. The son walked down. They returned to the living room together. You are here, children. I have many wonderful stories to tell you too. You will never believe what I have experienced this week. He said excitedly. Son, why are you frowning? The woman hurriedly explained beside him. He doesn't like to eat octopus, that's all. He has always been very good, dear. Are you very good? That's great. Son, listen carefully, we have to relax our brows. The clown said. How do you distinguish between the octopus triplets who look very similar? The answer is by touch. Ha 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 ha, you understand, right? Ha ha ha. The clown scooped up a spoonful of rice and stuffed it into his mouth. What are you doing? The laugher stopped abruptly. The criminal's voice brought him back to reality. The laugher saw a dummy and a small pink teddy bear sitting on his left and right. No wife, no children, everything is a dream. He said gloomily, I'm having dinner. With whom? The criminal asked, his hands behind his back. Myself. The joker replied, Ha. Who else but myself? The criminal walked around the table and put his hand on the dummy's shoulder. Don't touch her, the laugher said to the criminal. Quote. There is no such thing as her. The criminal said. No one but Batman. He kicked the dummy to the ground. One may have died, but you bet on 2 more at once. He said. One was sent to participate in the mess between Bane and Batman, and the other was sent to the Batcave to confirm whether the previous clown was killed by Batman himself. A genius idea. The Joker, codenamed Criminal, said, you bet on the strongest ones except the 3 of us. This is a waste. You only dominated for such a short period of time, and you have already killed 1. If the remaining 2 you sent out all died, we would have no one to use. With a creak, the door was pushed open. The clown walked in. Oh my, the meeting has already started. I hope I'm not late. He walked to the Joker, codenamed Criminal, with a smile. Compared with the laugher and the criminal, he seemed more humorous and more vicious. If everyone is dead, then is it my turn to go out and play? Not sure yet, you lunatic. The Joker answered him. Batman won't guess our purpose. He said. I don't believe Batman really killed 1 of us. He repeated. Unless I get evidence, I won't believe it. Oh, poor little Eddie, when all the players in Arkham Asylum go to the party together, why are you the only one left here alone? The Joker walked to the door of the Riddler's cell. Is it because Batman doesn't want to play with you? The Riddler had a blank expression. The Joker continued. Oh, Eddie, our little Eddie, you are always 10 steps ahead of others, why don't you come out of that little room? There are still many things to do and many things to say. We can join forces to find Batman to play together. You can find the door card in the leftmost drawer of the Batcomputer. The Riddler told him. Come on, said the Joker, that's not fun, let's do something advanced. How long have you been locked up here? For God's sake, you're the Riddler, don't pretend you didn't plan a way out the first night you got here. I know you're much better. With a bang, the Joker fell to the ground. His pale half-face was deformed and twisted under the effect of the venom, like an inflated cream cake, and now, This cream cake has been cut open, revealing dark red and bright yellow grease. Poison ivy. The last moment, hurry up and locate. Wait, it will be soon. Poison ivy's voice came. I'm done. Lucius stared at the many bright spots flashing on the screen. Okay, 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 okay. He whispered to himself, then opened his eyes, punched the launch button, and then said to the communication. Batman, have you dealt with the Joker? If there are any fish that slipped through the net, you may be needed. I'm ready, Chen Dao told him, in every sense. He turned his head and looked at the Joker lying on the ground in a big letter shape, his face full of the aftermath of being beaten up. I lost, the Joker said, but you won't kill me, woo. He sobbed and sobbed. Why can't it be me? You make me sick. Chen Dao said, don't act like a complete failure, Joker. Do you think I don't know what you are planning? The Joker lying on the ground turned his face away. You don't care about Bane, you don't care about the little fight between him and me. All this is just a game to you. You can play the game at any time. You don't care about winning or losing. Chen Dao said, the only thing you care about is the game itself. What you can't accept is that the game has the risk of never being played again. For so many years, you have a clear purpose for the first time, Joker, which is why I can predict you this time. The Joker curled up on the ground. At the same time, we switch the view back to the Batcave. If you want me to get involved in your business, Joker. The Riddler said, no way. He was wearing a dark yellow prison uniform full of question marks. It's strange that even though he was imprisoned by Batman, he still got this very personal clothing as a privilege. I won't take the initiative to intervene in your game with Batman. If I want to play, I will go to him myself, and to be honest, I don't play games now. The Riddler said, I want to retire. PFF'd, don't lie, old Eddie, please, I'm here to do business today, don't make me laugh anymore. The Joker showed a mocking smile on his face. He said he was laughing, and his face was indeed laughing, but he didn't look like he was smiling at all. Only full of malice. The Riddler stared at his face. He said slowly, what do you want to do? A gas bomb with a smiley face appeared in the clown's hand. Yes, I will make things more interesting. You lunatic. The Riddler quickly retreated to the side of the cell, his face grim. You. This formula may be older and the effect has weakened, but if you wait a few more minutes, it will still be very powerful. As the clown said, he threw the gas bomb directly into the Riddler's room through the vent above the transparent cell. Stop it, clown, you lunatic, cough cough cough. The green gas quickly exploded in the room. Ha 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 ha, that's right, you come out in person, this is the point. The Joker pressed his face tightly against the transparent glass wall. After all, if you are not in good condition, I don't want to bring you to the party, right? The green mist rose in the room, reflecting the Joker's face hazily. You have always had great potential, and this is what I love most about you. No one has ever pushed the bat to the extreme like you. And except you, no one has ever had the wisdom to match the great Bat King. Amid the Riddler's violent coughing, the Joker shouted. If you don't give him a hint, he will never find you. Isn't it? You always focus on the most important game, just like me. Oh, Eddie, your mind is your most dangerous weapon, and you are better than all of us in this respect. You are the master of riddles in this evil city, smarter, better, and more dangerous than Batman. Quote. So, why are you still wasting your life here, Eddie? I really can't bear to see you become like this, I would rather you die. The Joker said, and now it's almost time for you. Sizzle. The transparent glass door was opened, and the Riddler stood in the middle of the separated Joker gas. There are 46 ways to leave this cell, Joker. The Riddler said, and only 4 of them can be completed within the time limit you set. The simplest is to use the most labor-saving force technique to hit the weak part of the glass. But I chose method 3. The Joker pulled his own smile. Ha ha ha, I knew it, I knew you have never changed. You can always be one step ahead. 4 hours ago, I dug a hole in the wall. The Riddler said. He looked at the cell's access control. I changed the circuit of the gate through this hole. The Joker's face changed slightly. And the tool I used to dig the wall was an iron spoon. This is unreasonable. Batman would not be stupid enough to give the Riddler an iron spoon. The Joker didn't want to listen to what he said next. He turned his head decisively and ran away. He took a step with his thin legs, jumped nimbly, and directly climbed over the fence, and jumped up the upward stairs in 3 or 2 steps. That was the door to leave the Batcave and the entrance for him to come in. The Riddler lowered his head. Why are all the Arkham lunatics mobilized to deal with Bane, but I am the only one left in the Batcave? Why is Robin not here, and his butler is not here either? The Riddler's voice sounded behind him. So do you understand, Joker? For so many years, I have always refused to admit that Batman is smarter than me, and I still refuse to admit it now. But I still have to say. In some places, Batman's wisdom does surpass mine, such as in his understanding of you. He said you will definitely come to confirm whether the previous Joker was killed. He said you will definitely come to confirm with your own eyes. He told me a lot about you, or you all. Beep, squeak. A noisy mechanical sound sounded, as if some huge machine was running. The Joker's fingertips touched the door handle. Beep, click. Then the next second, the world turned upside down in front of the Joker. The stairs rolled back, and with a mechanical sound, the Joker was thrown back to the ground like a ladle. The ground opened and sank, swallowing the Joker like an insect sealed in amber. With a sound of springs, the floor closed again, as if nothing had happened just now. You always think about games, Joker. The Riddler stood there quietly, but there are no more games. Whether it's me, Batman, Bane, or all of us. You have been abandoned. From the beginning to the end, you are the only one who wants to play games. You think that as another player in the game, it is impossible for me to cooperate with the boss at the end of the level. But this is a fallacy. The Riddler lowered his eyebrows. The Batcomputer made a synthetic sound. The air purification system has been activated, removing the remaining Joker gas. Completed. It said happily. I wish you a good afternoon without the Joker. That upright, once docile person. The Riddler hummed in a low voice. Down the perilous path, down the valley of death. The shambling snake, humble, moves slowly. And the upright rage in the wilds. There lions roam. It is 3 o'clock in the morning, and the city of Batman is brightly lit. Chen Dao just received a communication from the Riddler. Our Mr. Nigma obediently locked himself back in the transparent cell, and by the way, he used wool plaster to repair the hole he dug with the iron spoon. The Riddler is one of the smartest people in the world, and he knows everything. So it makes sense that he can repair the wall, right? Both clowns have been captured alive. Now there is only the nuclear bomb, probably. Chen Dao thought silently. He sat on the floor of Arkham Asylum to recuperate, next to Bane who fell to the ground and the Joker who was beaten and seriously injured by him after using Titan venom. The two muscular men were piled together naked, and the Joker's body was leaking a little bit because there was no venom, and then he was pressed under Bane. It didn't take much effort for him to defeat the Joker, and Bane seemed to be finished. But Chen Dao still seized every opportunity to rest as much as possible. Thomas Wayne and Martha Wayne, having lost Bane's control, stood there stupidly, like a pair of parents waiting for their children to come home from kindergarten. 80% of the missiles have been destroyed. Lucius' voice shouted in the communication. 84%. He said very quickly. 86%, Batman, if the missiles are not completely destroyed before they fly out of the atmosphere. 92%. He said loudly. Well done, Poison Ivy. 98%. Chen Dao silently listened to his increasingly loud voice, which rushed out of the headset and shouted with Lucius' heart beating. Then, finally, 100%. Chen Dao heard Lucius excitedly say, "We won." He sat in his seat like a faint, panting loudly. "I can't believe we did it. We planned for so long," Lucius said. "With so many pre-made missiles, even the most advanced anti-missile interception system needs luck to intercept them all." He exclaimed in amazement, and then praised Poison Ivy. Then he heard Batman say to him, "Lucius, you used up all the interceptor missiles, right?" Lucius was stunned. "Yes," he said, "but we intercepted all the missiles. The worst-case scenario you mentioned before did not happen." Chen Dao sighed. "In Gotham, if there is a worst-case scenario, it will definitely happen." Lucius heard him make a conclusion first, and then continued, "Check the satellite detection image, Lucius." He heard the other party say, "Did you see the nuclear flash of the nuclear bomb explosion on it?" Lucius' heart jumped. He rushed to the satellite control console, and then saw that the satellite map was empty, and he couldn't help but be stunned. Just now he was too ecstatic and ignored an obvious fact. Even if the interceptor missile successfully intercepted the nuclear weapon, they should be able to hear the sound at such a close distance. And now it is silent, which means the nuclear bomb is not among the missiles we intercepted. Lucius groaned. Oh my God. What's going on? This means the worst has happened. Chen Dao sighed heavily. The Joker was fooled. Someone used him to distract us and use him to force us to reveal our trump card. He said. And we cannot ignore the possibility that nuclear warheads may really be in these missiles, so we must intercept them all with the interceptor missiles we prepared. And once all our interceptor missiles are used up, the person behind the scenes can calmly launch real nuclear bombs. Lucius' voice trembled a little, but this is unreasonable. Who can do this? Who can use the Joker and play him in the palm of their hands? Who can plan such a meticulous plan? How can he be sure that everything will develop as he expected? How did he hide his existence from R? It's obvious. Chen Dao answered him. A person who has been in front of us since the beginning. Chen Dao stared at Bane lying on the Joker in front of him. The other party seemed to be still immersed in the effect of laughing gas, and his smile stretched from the corners of his mouth to his ears. He smiled humorously and innocently. A man who seems to have been knocked down by a clown. He continued. In this world, the more complex the plan, the greater the benefits, but also the more likely it is to fail. This is because there are too many variables in a complex plan, and the planners have too little control over the entire plan, so they often fail. But if you look at it from another angle, if someone can completely control every corner of a complex plan, firmly grasp the most critical link of the whole plan, fully control the actions of a scapegoat, and then stand up at the last moment to reap everything, then theoretically, a super complex plan will be easier to achieve his goal than a simple and crude horizontal push. Lucius said. I think I understand what you mean. Chen Dao turned Lucius's voice to speakerphone. But who is this person? Who is this person who controls everything behind the scenes? Yeah, I'm curious too. Chen Dao stared at Bane lying on the ground. Who is this person? Dead silence. The air was silent, breathing with Chen Dao. Then, the world was stripped of that layer of bizarre veil. Ha, it's me. Quote. The twisted smile on Bane's face suddenly disappeared. He got up from the ground with an expressionless face, and his rough skin rubbed against the floor, making a low rustling sound. This is your real way to weaken me, right? Chen Dao looked at him without surprise. The poison that can destroy my body after drinking it just now is just a cover, right? Of course, my bad. Bane answered him. Always so sharp. He said, I have studied your nano-body, the body composed of unknown high technology, which is obviously out of the scope of human beings. Unfortunately, I did hope to make such a cup of poison, for you. He emphasized on, you. But unfortunately, I really don't have any attainments in microengineering. He said sincerely, if there is a next time, I will definitely learn it. But now, quote, Bane suppressed his excitement and joy. His tone was calm and steady, and he tried his best to keep his tone without any emotional fluctuations. He didn't want to show his ugly face of conspiracy in front of Batman. He didn't want to show those murderous, high-pitched, and gentle hums in front of Batman. You have to stop the real nuclear bomb. You are the only one who can do it. Bane said. You have to meet the enemy head-on. Ah, I know. Chen Dao answered him in a low voice. He muttered. I knew that things would always turn out like this. There will always be the worst. Quote. Always like this. I am Chen Dao, a time traveler. I have considered countless times whether my behavior is really normal. Am I influenced by those Batman memories? Did I change my ways and become more and more crazy under their influence? Look at what I am going to do now. I am going to intercept a nuclear bomb, completely voluntarily, premeditated, and deliberately careless. I have completely turned into the shape of Batman, and that mask with pointed ears is really a magic. What kind of lunatic would anticipate the situation of his own body receiving a nuclear bomb? It's like a person standing on the edge of a cliff, secretly expecting that he will fall off. This is definitely a pathological self-destructive tendency. So now, you start to question your motives again. Your body is very honest and has made all kinds of preparations, and then you start to doubt your brain. Don't be funny. You say to yourself. Once the bow is shot, there is no turning back. No matter what, this is my decision. Chen Dao's decision. I decided to intercept the nuclear bomb in person in the worst possible scenario, when all my cards were exhausted, when I had no other choice, and at the risk of being killed. Now is the time to put my decision into practice. So the predictable fear shocked your whole body like a pacemaker. I modified the design of the nuclear bomb. It is no longer a weapon for ground strikes. It is a weapon made for you. Bane said. The world is distorted in front of your eyes, and Bane's voice is stretched and deformed in your ears. You hear Bane say, its radar is set to track Batman. And you know you are Batman. It's terrible. Lucius' voice sounded in the headset. I understand what Bane means, that is, this nuclear bomb is now being launched according to the predetermined trajectory. If we ignore it, it will raise the metropolis to the ground, and if you want to push it off the track and throw it out of the earth, it is impossible, because this nuclear bomb is set to track you, and once you get close to it, it will explode. He spoke a little incoherently, and the language processing was not brain processing, but at least he barely explained the current situation. Then the voice of the butler Alfred sounded in the channel. Master, I heard the general situation, you don't have to rely on yourself. His face with a candle head mask appeared on the two-dimensional projection screen, and there were two stupid claws standing behind him. Young Robin stood safely behind him, and all crises and dangers were far away from him. Alfred's tone was very calm, and he looked very rational, even with a relaxed smile on his face. We must have other ways, we can think of other ways. For example, drones. Bane named me. Chen Dao whispered to him. Wouldn't he have thought of this? Drones can't adapt to an environment like leaving the atmosphere. There is no doubt that this is a great gift prepared for me. Alfred was silent for a moment, and then quickly said. Then there are some other ways. Man-Bat, a human-faced bat, he can also fly. So you don't care about the life and death of Man-Bat? Without a nano-body to face a nuclear bomb explosion, he will definitely die. Although Chen Dao doesn't mind finding a scapegoat, the most important thing is, how can a human-faced bat catch up with a missile at its flying speed? Then we can find another. Chen Dao took a deep breath. Alfred, I have envisioned this situation, okay. He told Alfred. It's nothing more than facing the explosion of a nuclear bomb. He organized his words. I have some special abilities, Nano Batman or something. Alfred responded in a low voice. I know, sir. Although you didn't take the initiative to explain them to me, I wouldn't ask deliberately, but there is no doubt that I know. Chen Dao continued. I have envisioned the scene of a nuclear bomb explosion. As long as I can transform into a hybrid of a car and a nano body at the same time, plus the amber gold of the owl bat to save my life, even if I face a nuclear bomb, our chief scientist has helped me calculate the relevant values, I will not die, at most I will be weakened. He stretched out his hand, one hand turned into the black sand of the broken bat, and the other hand condensed into a green dinosaur claw, and then smoothly turned into a car tire under his control. His temple throbbed with pain, but this time, the two overlapping transformations did not collapse. Lucius' voice confirmed beside him. Alfred, Bruce didn't let me tell you before, mainly because he was afraid that you would worry, and this is just a plan for the worst-case scenario, although now, he said in a dull tone, this worst-case scenario has become a reality. Alfred was silent for a while. You never told me before that you wanted to take the nuclear bomb head-on. He turned his head suddenly and looked at Robin standing beside him. Tim, you know this, right? You didn't tell me. You didn't dare to tell me. He didn't even call Tim master as usual. Tim responded with silence. Alfred turned his head and said dejectedly. Have you tried it? Chen Dao was speechless. Oh my god, you haven't tried it, have you? You're not sure if you can survive a nuclear bomb. It's not that exaggerated, Chen Dao told him. According to numerical calculations, as long as I'm not at the center, the shockwave and heat energy are not enough to destroy me. Of course, radiation is also ineffective against me. Chen Dao wasted a while, and then suddenly realized that these could not dispel Alfred's worries, so he stopped explaining and finally said. I'm sorry, Alfred, I'm afraid I have to go. After all, this is Batman's responsibility. Chen Dao could hear every word he said clearly. And I am. No, you can't. You are not him. He is dead. He is finally dead. He finally got what he wanted and died with the monsters in exhaustion. Alfred finally broke out. He was shaking all over, and he could no longer maintain his forced smile. This city gave you back to me. Gotham gave me back the little boy named Bruce Wayne who died with his parents in Crime Alley. You finally let it go. You can finally sleep. You are finally at peace, my child. He stretched out his hand carefully, as if he wanted to touch Bruce's face through the screen, as if he was touching some fragile porcelain. My fate is full of ups and downs, my child, with bruises all over his body. You have suffered so much. You don't have to, you don't need to. He clenched his fists, as if he could desperately hold on to his Bruce, as if Chen Dao would turn into a bat and fly away in the next second. Please, you don't have to be a bat monster in black anymore. Quote. The old man seemed to have used up his last bit of strength, his legs softened, and he collapsed to the ground. Please. Quote. There are others can go. You don't owe this city anything, you don't owe anyone. You should live a normal life. This city, or other cities, what they are like has nothing to do with you. He uttered two indistinct sobs. Under the light, half of Chen Dao's face was hidden in the shadows. Nuclear bomb explosion, world destruction, none of these is your responsibility. He said, you promised to retire with me. It's always like this, it has happened too many times. The son of Gotham put on his uniform again, the dead bat monster revived, and he had to watch Bruce Wayne on the verge of death again. This was undoubtedly the cruelest torture in Alfred's life. For this, I am deeply sorry, Alfred. I am Batman. Chen Dao always felt that this sentence had a sense of destiny. They looked at each other in silence. Lucius' voice also rang in Chen Dao's ears at this time. We detected it, the nuclear bomb. He said with some sadness, but we no longer have interceptor missiles. So. I know. The Dark Knight took a deep breath, bowed his head heavily, sighed, and when he raised his head, Alfred saw the raging fire that burned everything roaring fiercely in his eyes. He was familiar with that look, he was too familiar with that look. That look was unique to Batman. In the past years, he had seen such a look countless times. Lonely and awe-inspiring, contemptuous and sharp. Self, belief, awareness, responsibility, courage, hope, those complex inner emotions. Boom. A violent explosion. You are in the center of trillions of suns. These concepts are too far away, so far away that you can't touch them with your eyes wide open, but they are breathing in your ears when you feel them. So you don't say anything. The flames surge through you, the shock waves surge through you, the air surges through you, the radiation surges through you, the breeze and the sunlight surge through you. But there is nothing to stop. This is outer space. The glow of the Milky Way and billions of stars is immersed in the endless light. They are mixed, and at the same time flow through your soul in another form and echo. Poison Ivy got down from the hemispherical mind-sharing machine, and her body shook involuntarily. Harley Quinn, who had never dared to disturb her, rushed over to support her. Batman. Is Batman back? Harley shook her head. She turned on the communication and shouted to Lucius, hey, you noisy squirrel scientist. Is Batman still alive? Lower the plane. The Penguin shouted loudly at the five-faced Harvey Dent, and then Harvey Dent screamed at the ventriloquist, and finally it was the ventriloquist's turn to howl loudly at the pilot of the plane. The gangster brother who acted as the pilot pulled the joystick, and then the three gangsters rolled on a sofa. The storm gradually subsided. How is Batman? The Penguin was the first to get up, and he said a little dizzy, is he still alive? Then they heard Harley Quinn's question in the communication. No response. The three of them waited together for 5 or 6 minutes, but still no response. Oh my God, God bless Batman and don't let him die. Penguin said, Batman is a good man, the Virgin Mary bless him. As soon as he finished speaking, he immediately turned his head away. Oh, this feels so weird. Then he turned his head and saw the bat doll in the ventriloquist's hand lying on the ground, and the ventriloquist was howling at the toy. Woo woo woo. Bat, how can I live without you? Ah, two. Five-faced Harvey Dent threw his dice again and again, slapping himself every time he threw it. Ah, Penguin understood that Two-Face's brain was a little broken. When he was two-faced before, No matter what he did, he gave himself a multiple-choice question with 2 options, but now the options for this multiple-choice question have become 5, so he was forced to put some meaningless options in addition to the normal options. And his luck is not very good now. He threw the option of slap yourself several times in a row. Penguin found that he was actually the most normal one among the 3 people present. He said to Harvey, "Can I ask what your other 4 options are?" Rush to Arkham to avenge Batman, escape from Gotham, kneel and lick Bane, howl with the ventriloquist. The 5-faced Harvey Dent answered him, and then threw his dice again. Then the Penguin saw him stand up straight, and just when he thought that the other party was going to rush to avenge Batman, he saw Harvey walk to the side of the ventriloquist and kneel down side by side with him. "Woo woo woo, Bat. Without you, I can." The Penguin blinked his eyes. Then the string in his mind suddenly snapped. He suddenly realized that he seemed to have nothing to do except praying. So he also knelt down beside the 5-faced Harvey Dent, and the 3 gangsters howled in unison at the Batman doll, "Woo woo woo. Bat. Without you, I can." The plane was suddenly filled with crying. "Enough, you're making too much noise." Harley Quinn was annoyed by the crying of 3 old men in the communication channel. Her voice came out from the loudspeaker on the plane. "You cry every day and night, can you cry Bane to death?" "Woo wow 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 wow." A louder cry came from the communication channel. It was Clayface. This guy was completely immersed in the role, and played a grief-stricken Robin. "No, Batman, you are the dawn of my life. You gave me Robin's dream. Your existence saved this city, and in every darkest midnight, it was you who enlightened everyone's direction." The real Robin Tim Drake began to doubt himself when he heard it in the communication channel. Clayface was still howling, "You are the torchbearer, you are the guide, you are the meaning of my life. Oh, heaven and earth. Robin cannot lose Batman, just like the Jews cannot lose Jerusalem." He cried more sadly than the real Robin, and anyone who heard it would be sad and cry. Who wouldn't give a thumbs up and praise him as a filial Robin? Tim, who was already a little sad, got goosebumps all over his body. Don't argue with a madman, don't argue with a madman. He hypnotized himself, then took a deep breath, patted his forehead to calm himself down, turned around and asked in the communication channel, "Chief Scientist, have you detected any signs of life from Batman?" "No." Lucius's voice was muffled. "Absolutely not. This is unreasonable. I believe Batman will not, and according to my calculations, he will not." Robin turned his head to look at Alfred immediately. He saw the old butler collapsed on the ground, his eyes tightly closed, not saying a word. "It shouldn't be a big problem, right?" He immediately turned his head and said to the communication, "The instrument for detecting life will not detect him so quickly, it will take a while, right?" Indeed. Robin didn't know for a moment whether this was Lucius's comfort or it was true. "Batman is not really gone, is he?" Killer Croc said in the channel. "That's all, let's divide the luggage and go our separate ways." He muttered, "I'll go back to my crocodile gang and bite people. Cheshire Cat, you go back to Africa, get married and have children. Deadshot, you go back to your hometown and see your daughter. We'll make up for it, sell the Batplane, and buy a pure gold coffin for Master Batman. Anyway, without Batman, our lives will be the same, right? Nothing has changed, and there will never be any change." Deadshot looked at him. "What do you mean, Killer Croc?" "I mean, we're going to kill Bane." The strong thug opened his mouth, revealing a mouthful of sharp teeth. "I'm happy working for Batman. I've been paid a lot these days, and my life is much better than when I was in the sewer picking up garbage to eat." He said, "I'm not a good person, and I'll never be a good person. But now I really want to bite off Bane's head." He said in the communication channel, "Is anyone with me?" Boom. The loud bang resounded throughout Bane's cochlea. He took out the instrument from Martha Wayne's belly and watched, waiting quietly. He curled up in a corner that could carry his whole body. He had long thought that his clothes would be damaged in the battle, so he stored many tools he needed in Batman's mother's belly in advance. In order to ensure safety, he waited for a long time. And there was no sign of life on the instrument at all. The time has been long enough, and it seems that all the facts have gradually become clear. Bane's face was tense. "Puff," he sneered. He calmly twisted his upturned lips to calm them down. "Oh, God. This is not the effect of laughing gas. Puff. Bane chuckled again, and then the corners of his mouth gradually widened. I won, he whispered in the empty Arkham Asylum. He paced back and forth in the clean corridor and waved his arms excitedly. The strong and powerful fist squeezed the air, making a light sound of air exploding. It was not easy. The moonlight shone into the building from the hole where Batman had just crashed through the ceiling and flew out. What a magnificent scene, like a fantasy story. I really won. His voice had a little crying tone that he didn't even realize. I killed Batman, ho ho ho. I killed Batman, no way. Bane paused. He turned his head and saw the Joker, who had barely regained consciousness, turned over and faced the ceiling, gasping for air. Batman will not be defeated by you, you rubbish. Bane's face darkened. He walked up to the Joker, grabbed his collar, and lifted him up. Are you blind? Can't you notice this fact? I won. I killed Batman with my trick. Ridiculous. Ha ha ha, ha ha ha. Bane, I didn't expect you to have a talent for telling jokes. The Joker laughed twice, and then spit out 2 mouthfuls of bloody foam from his mouth, faintly mixed with some fragments. But this joke is so bad. Even I can't tell it. He was beaten badly by Batman and was seriously injured. Batman will never lose. Are you a fool? I defeated Batman. Batman will never be defeated. The Joker said, even if he has fallen, he wants to fall and needs to fall. You are a fool. He vomited blood again. Batman will defeat you. Bane threw him into the corner. You are just a loser who is unwilling to accept the facts. And the fact is that I won, and this city belongs to me. He no longer paid attention to the clown lying in the corner and vomiting blood, and jumped directly from the hole in the ceiling to the roof, and then jumped to the highest point in 3 or 2 steps. I dominate the Dark Knight. There is no Batman anymore. I destroyed him. I rule the streets and alleys. I rule Gotham. I am revenge. I am darkness. I am Bane. I am the king of Gotham. Bane howled at the moon and announced to the whole city. I am the king of Gotham. Da da. His movements paused. Da da. The sound sounded like footsteps, the kind of uniform footsteps. Ta da. A sharp claw walked out from behind the building, followed by more than 10 companions, who rushed out like a tide. Killer Croc swung his tail, jumped over the gaps between several buildings, and landed on all 4s on the roof not far from him. Deadshot, carrying a short-distance flight backpack, paused in midair like an astronaut jumping on the moon, and then landed lightly on the building next to him. The Cheshire Cat appeared silently next to him, and Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy each drove a huge vine monster and crawled over from the top of the building like 2 big spiders. Robin carried the Firefly, and the sick and injured Mr. Freeze limped behind with his freezing gun, followed by Man-Bat, Copperhead Snake, Black Spider, and a large number of Arkham villains who were still able to move. These unruly Arkham villains were silent. There was a special force that gathered them and brought them here. It's you, Bane said. You defeated generals. How dare you show up in front of me? This city has given us a lot. The Penguin leaned on his cane and brought the fat man to the roof with his 2 claws. He dusted himself off, and his pointed black leather boots made a knocking sound on the roof tiles. The ventriloquist and the 5-faced man stood beside him, and Arnold held Thompson's submachine guns in both hands. Now it's time to give her back. Arkham people, Penguin said. Today when Batman is not here, at this moment. Now it's the villains' turn to save the city. Stupid. His voice was quickly rebuked by Bane with a louder roar. Do you really know who I am? Do you really understand me? I defeated Batman. Anyone can be defeated. It's not difficult to do. But I have won. I defeated him. He said, since you are afraid of Batman. How dare you not be afraid of me? He condensed branches from half of his body and threw them at the claws. These branches will explode when they are inserted into the claws' bodies, and then take root and grow in their bodies in just a few tens of seconds, and then grow a beautiful flower. But the claws did not have any fear. A cold wave hit Bane. Mr. Freeze stood in front of Bane surrounded by many claws with a freezing gun. He was hit very badly by Bane just now, and half of his arm was drooping limply. He shot a stream of cold air at Bane with an expressionless face. You are looking for death. Bane looked at him steadily. You all will die. Batman's death is just the beginning of many deaths. You, Killer Croc, Deadshot, Ventriloquist. I will kill you all. Bane's eyes swept over everyone standing opposite him. After killing all of you, I will immediately kill the butler and Robin. He said, I will hang all of you. I will gently pull your feet until I can hear the pleasant cracking sound from your neck. He announced, you can't stop me, no one can stop me anymore. My victory is an irrefutable fact. Quote, when Gotham surrenders to me, I will stand on the head of one of the gargoyles, looking down on those poor citizens. His voice is like a tsunami, a landslide, and every natural disaster that people can think of. They will all look up at the sky, waiting for the moment when the signal light comes on, praying to see that light, praying that Batman can save them, but they only see me. Only Bane. And I am Bane. Okay, I know you are Bane, I know that very well. Then Bane heard a voice behind him. The voice that made him tremble and tremble all over. But I think you forgot. I am Batman. I did it even better. I didn't break my promise, I'm so awesome, woo. Bane often felt like he was shouting in a deserted wilderness. The hazy mist gathered into waves and oceans, rolling in the dark night. His life was like an island in the ocean. He ran, he jumped, he flew, he struggled through the vortex of clouds and rain, thinking he would catch that ray of light. But everything was still silent. He felt like he was falling. Just like, at that time, at this moment. Intense rage. Plants exploded from half of his body again, his muscles withered, broken and dry, and were sucked dry by the plants living on his body in just a few seconds. However, in the next second, under the pumping of venom, his muscles recovered in an instant, expanding, winding, and more majestic than before. Zhao Hong, can't you control the green on him? Harry whispered to Poison Ivy, I can't cast magic on him this way. Poison Ivy automatically understood her crazy words. I don't know, but I'm afraid not. These plants have undergone some changes that I don't quite understand. They are no longer like plants, but like part of a living person. She said hesitantly, this is part of an unstable chain reaction. In fact, I think Bane's way of using these plants is not the same as those I controlled before, but no matter what, it's obvious. Poison Ivy said, he has turned himself into a wizard. Strictly speaking, he can now be considered a wizard. In the application of elemental power, he can even. Before she finished her words, she saw the plants curled up and tied up Bane's body, and then wrapped around Bane's flesh like muscle fibers, turning into wood texture. Then the next second, his arm swung out to his side like a stretched 9-section whip, and half of the building collapsed like a building block in a loud bang. Bane's roar shook the earth. Batman, look at me. Wizard, but the main attack method is still fists. Harley said. Hee hee. Bane heard Batman's chuckle, that contemptuous, undisguised light challenge. He fought back angrily, and the twisted and extended fist, carrying unmatched strange power, only hit the empty air. Bane was furious, and the fury continued. He rationally controlled his anger, and half of his body responded to him. His arms seemed to have become a little longer, but definitely not thinner. In the increasingly powerful anger, his punches became more and more gentle. Compared with the straight attack, it was more like a fluttering ribbon, and it seemed to have no lethality at all. But the broken bricks and the ground that was cracked like tofu by his long whip-like arms always reminded everyone. This is definitely not the caress of a lover. Harley Quinn commented. It's like whipping a fart with a whip in a game. Poison Ivy skillfully tied her up like a dumpling. Death Shooter raised his shockwave weapon and aimed it at Bane, who was still attacking the invisible shadow Batman. Just as he was about to pull the trigger, he saw Mr. Freeze holding the freezing gun across his face. What do you mean? He asked. Hush, Mr. Freeze said. Be quiet, sharpshooter. Don't disturb their fight. Didn't you notice that the claws have retreated? I know, Death Shooter answered him, but I thought it was just because they were not qualified to participate in close combat. Don't worry, I am very confident that I will never miss even if the two of them are fighting each other. Then Death Shooter saw that the people of Arkham looked at him indifferently except for the Clayface who cosplayed himself as Robin. What happened to you? What do you mean? I think. Poison Ivy said. A vine rose from the ground beside her and woven into a chair. She first hung Harley Quinn, who was tied up like a dumpling and whimpering, on the chair, and then sat on the chair herself. You'd better not interfere. Deadshot wanted to say something, and then a hand was placed on his shoulder. We have been working together for a while, Floyd. The ventriloquist stood behind him. The old man hunched over, but didn't look at him at all. I heard that you were born in Gotham, but you spend most of your time outside, so you may not understand what's going on here. Let us explain it to you, he said with some intonation. Don't get involved in their fight. His glasses reflected Bane, who was still waving his fist. After all, this is king versus king, isn't it? Mr. Freeze said. With a click, he used force and expressionless face to put his broken arm back to its original shape. What a mess, Deadshot said. Did Batman hire us just to stand by and cheer? He turned his head to look at the Cheshire Cat. Shouldn't we give Bat some long-range support? The Cheshire Cat hesitated and said, I think so too. You think so too, right, Killer Croc? Deadshot turned his head and said to Killer Croc, what the hell is this, king versus king, too? No, Killer Croc, who seemed to like money, said to Deadshot, you should let Bat fight 1 versus 1. If outsiders intervene, it would be too disrespectful. Deadshot was silent. For the first time, he looked at these teammates standing with them so seriously again. He originally thought that a guy like Killer Croc who liked money would definitely agree with what he said, but he was wrong. Then in an instant, he suddenly realized the nature of these people. In the moonlight, he saw the shadows of the Arkham people being stretched, projecting twisted and crawling animal shadows on the ground. This is not a group of people, but a group of beasts. A group of beasts practicing the law of the jungle in modern society. So the Death Shooter realized. This is indeed a group of lunatics, and he didn't realize it before. He has been with this group of people for too long, making money with them, being bribed with them, being coerced with them, and watching them being trained with his own eyes. He always felt that they were just ordinary people like himself after taking off the mysterious veil. But he was wrong. He was wrong a little bit. So he lowered the muzzle of the gun and muttered to himself in a low voice, what kind of monster leader have you become, Batman? He whispered to himself. Fighting with the dragon for too long, you will become a dragon yourself. Staring into the abyss for too long, the abyss will stare back. He stared at the fast flickering black shadow in a low voice, you terrible dragon. You dragon, the righteous warrior Bane roared. Come out, face me, why don't you dare? Then his action stopped the next second. He saw black mist rising in front of him, and a giant dragon really appeared in front of him. Its lower body was a ball of black mist with a few rubber tires vaguely emerging in it, and its upper body was a green, ferocious dinosaur mouth. The venom tube was connected to the top of his head. The dinosaur claws with car parts stretched out, and the black mist extended from his back like open wings. He heard the low and hoarse voice say, I am here at the call. So now it is, a warrior, challenging the dragon. Warning, warning, Batman number 52, your danger level has increased. You have been upgraded from no level to F level. The silver-white font of the Alfred Protocol stopped on Chen Dao's retina, and the huge stinging feeling that ran through his brain disappeared, replaced by a clear mind. This is impossible. Bane was a little numb. He didn't know how many times he had said this word, perhaps dozens, perhaps hundreds. But do you know what is different from the past? He has no more cards. He is at his wit's end. He said, no matter what, you can't be unscathed in such a close-range nuclear explosion. Frustration. Intense frustration. Bane looked at the dragon that finally appeared in front of him. All the appearance features of Batman were different from what he had seen before, but there was only one thing that had never changed. Eyes. Those indifferent eyes, eyes looking down from above. Those contemptuous eyes, the smile hidden deep inside, always mocked his powerless struggle. He said, I have clearly calculated that even a nano-body would. It would also be seriously injured, right? Chen Dao answered him. After he turned into a dinosaur, his voice became more dull and deafening. Actually, I'm curious about one thing. Take a look at what you have on you, Bane. Amber gold, Titan venom, the green of all things, the black of decay. You borrowed my power. Bane immediately realized without him saying, venom. But he continued, but even so, it's not that bad. Super double venom, Chen Dao said. I caught your subordinate, nicknamed, Zombie, remember? So what, you are just. I controlled him with the Mad Hatter's chip and provided him with the most advanced laboratories and instruments. The drugs made in that place are much higher in purity and mildness than those made in your small workshop. Bane was speechless for a moment. He originally thought that the other party would say something like, "My willpower is stronger, I have overcome the venom, venom makes me stronger," which might make him feel better. Venom is indeed affected by purity. Although high-purity venom will greatly test the user's body, it will undoubtedly bring more powerful power. You only rely on these. An amber gold, Chen Dao said, like a treasure, and the water of the Lazarus pool. And the protective clothing prepared in advance, Chen Dao explained, it is better to say that it is protective armor than protective clothing. The cost is at least more than $2 billion, which is about the same as the most expensive fighter. Chen Dao added in his heart. And the body of the undead claw bat zombie. And Dr. Phosphorus. Bane turned his head and saw that Dr. Phosphorus was indeed missing from the Arkham people. Chen Dao explained, like the atomic skull, Dr. Phosphorus is also a superhuman who can absorb the energy of nuclear bomb explosions. His power also comes from nuclear energy. Although his combat power is not strong, he is like a large rechargeable battery. Bane knew that he had underestimated the other party. But I clearly defeated him on the way here, like many Arkham people. Mr. Skeleton is just a tool. We only need him to absorb energy. It doesn't matter what he is beaten into. He is just one of many tools. Do I need to tell you in detail how much preparation I have made for this? Bane stopped talking, because he didn't need to know how Batman escaped, because all this had already happened and was of no help to the current situation. But he couldn't help asking. He knew very well that this was a feeling of regret and loss. He analyzed his mind very clearly, but he couldn't control himself. He knew that he couldn't let this emotion control him anymore. So, is it the end now? He asked. Is this the final decisive battle? No doubt. Chen Dao answered him. Do you have any other trump cards? Bane was silent. Of course not. Failed. Being pushed to the edge by Batman, all his plans were in vain. Surrounded by people like Bat, and Bat became stronger. The odds are slim. Bane closed his eyes, then opened them. But, I'm still here. There was a tsunami surging in his eyes. Bane is still here. Do you think you can win? Bane's eyes flickered like stars in the dark night. Those failures could not defeat him. I know who I am. Do you think I will definitely lose? I am Bane, I am a warrior of justice, I want to defeat the dragon. I know that the only one in the world who can defeat me is him. Ah, but you raised your fist and prepared for a fierce battle. You roared, and the long-accumulated anger was smoothly released under the control of your calm mind. The thick green color, like ink, made half of your body appear lush green. More green leaves grew from the woody muscles and spread to the top of your head. You roared. Under the bright moonlight, the warrior rushed towards the dragon alone. But, it was in vain. You can't defeat him. Once again, you reviewed all the optional paths, and all the optional paths pointed to the same ending, which is your end. It was fierce. You punched the giant dinosaur in the face. But before the fist touched the skin, the huge dragon face disintegrated into black mist and surged around the fist. Then the next second, your chest was gently stroked by a sharp blade. Crunch, squeak, squeak, squeak. It was like a saw sawing a piece of iron, a sound that made people's teeth ache. It's useless. You roared. You can't do anything to me. Before you finished speaking, your whole body was entangled by countless black sands. Then you saw countless car parts, metal mixed with dinosaur green muscle tissue and many miscellaneous venom infusion tubes, condensed into a terrible fist in front of you. Then the next moment, the world was shaken, and blood filled your lips and nostrils. One of your ribs was bent into your lungs, and you took a deep breath, but in vain. The edge of your vision began to deform, then blurred and dim. You fought back, you always fought back. But everything ended in the same way. Darkness rushed towards you, breathing stopped, and the world became dark. You fell to the ground. You saw the black giant blade slide across your chest again, making a teeth-grinding sound, like cutting steel and gnawing wood. The aftermath poured onto the ward of the Arkham Asylum next to you, splitting the huge floor in two, and then collapsed with a loud noise, raising a cloud of dust. Your consciousness was blurred. You heard the illusory singing. Through me, you will enter the city of weeping. Through me, you will enter endless suffering. ... Before me, everything was unformed. ... Those who come, quickly abandon all hope. So you fell to the ground, and your body was scattered in the darkness of the wilderness. You felt a little warm and relieved. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.